Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky Boys.
This
Throwing a curveball at you.
Yeah, I guess so. So we are doing a very special episode today. Not a standard book review.
No.
It's not that special. We've done this before.
Well, only twice.
Yeah, that's kind of special.
And not for 6 months or more?
Something like that.
September is the last time that we did this. So,
Jeez.
I'm doing some quick math here. 5 to 6 months, yeah. And now it's a little longer than normal because we had a little break in between.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's been a long season.
Yes, it has.
And for folks who don't know, because a lot of people probably are jumping into this episode to start.
Right, yeah. Let's tell everyone what we mean by a season, what we're doing here.
Yeah, well, Will over there took the liberty as the Animorphs expert of dividing this series up into seasons. And we have just...
on me now.
Well, I mean, yes. We have just finished getting through season 3, which consisted of the Animorphs series from books 23 through book 35, including Megamorphs 3 and Visser. So that's, doing some more math here. 15 books. And this is our time to look back and reflect and discuss how we feel overall about the state of Animorphs at this point in the series, what's coming up next, other discussion points at hand, and we're going to rate and rank all of these books for our tier lists, and we're going to look at what other people on the net are saying, other fans. Mm-hmm. Wow. What an exciting show it's going to be.
It's pretty exciting. I'm excited for it.
It's honestly, this season it feels exhausting.
Yeah, part of it's the length, but I get where you're coming from.
Looking back at, some of these books for our rankings, which we'll get to later, was like, what did I even think about this book? I almost couldn't tell you. Did I like this? I don't know. This was either really good or maybe it sucked. I can't remember. We'll get through it.
Yeah, all starting to get foggy. I mean, listen, this is our longest season so far, and or I guess it's our longest season. It's going to be.
Yeah, and I think next season is a little shorter, maybe, but it's close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it also got broken up by holidays and trip and all that. But yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So, in the past, I don't know if you've done this consistently, but you did do this at least once. And so that makes it almost like a tradition consistently across 2 episodes. You gave us a little rundown on Wikipedia of what the state of the world was like at the particular time that this season was being written. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe you researched it off of. I don't know what you did. You went through and you read off a bunch of stuff that happened in 97 or something.
I did 97. I think
I don't know what you did. I was expecting you to have this ready. And then
I did in the sense that I have one Wikipedia page open. But now that you're talking about it, it's making me think, what did I do? At one point, I think maybe it was 98. But I didn't. Oh, 97. But you know what? I think I think we did 90. We didn't do an intro. I didn't do this before the show started. So I think I did it at the end of season 1, saying, here's what the next year of Animorphs is going to be moving into 98, I think is what I did.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I don't remember. I know 97 was just a big year overall, but maybe we did 98. I don't know.
But see, I think I'm supposed to do 2000 now.
All right. Well, I mean, you want to just skip over 99, the year of the Matrix, the pinnacle of human civilization?
I think maybe, didn't we cover some 99 when we got into 1999?
We definitely did.
Because I know I wrote that brief parody song of Party Like It's 1999, which didn't get the full treatment, but I feel like maybe we talked about 99. You know what we should do is let's spend 10 or 15 minutes debating whether or not we should talk about any given year.
Well, listen, why don't you either do what you prepped or don't do it?
Again, prepped means I Googled the numbers 2000 and clicked a link.
That is more prep than I did on this topic.
Well, let's do a condensed version of both. How about that?
Ooh, I like that. More
So
content for the listeners.
let's just briefly, because we do have a couple months left of 99 when we get back to the books, right? But so we'll kind of look back at what's been going on. Obviously, 99, important year in human history, as you mentioned. The euro was established in this year.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, the euro. Love that euro. Bill Clinton was acquitted. If the dress does not fit, you must acquit.
If the cigar does not fit.
Yeah. So good for him. We're big Clinton fans on this show.
That's us. We're
I
the
was
Clinton boys.
pulling for him. Shakespeare in Love
sure was
won
too.
Best Picture. You ever see that one?
I honestly don't remember.
Gwyneth Paltrow, Ralph Fiennes, produced by Harvey Weinstein.
All great people. We stand.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, if only Clinton was involved. I'm skipping through some things. There are some wars and shit. I don't know. Who cares?
Fuck those. Who cares about that? Those aren't important.
Columbine, we've talked about. Columbine happened. It is, that Columbine that's a significant cultural thing for Animorphs specifically because a lot of it is kids fighting in a school.
Yeah.
Tobias maybe could have been a little bit different if these books were written post-Columbine.
That's true. Tobias could have been the one bringing a gun to school.
Or Marco. I don't know.
Yeah, Marco would have brought like a fake gun as a joke. And got
Now this is a good one. June of 99. Napster is created. Holy shit. We are entering the age of Napster.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Internet, is a thing now. MP3s. Man, how exciting. Remember when you first got MP3s?
I do. Tim Zoomer has no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
Tim Zoomer's get fucked right now, but what was did you use Napster or did you use something else?
I never used Napster, no.
But I mean, like, how did you get illegal music in the late 90s, early 2000s? Did you not do that?
By the mid-aughts, torrents, and before that, no, I was not doing that on computers. I was sharing CDs that other people had ripped.
Wow. Torrents.
Yeah, I was on physical media until maybe like 2004 or something.
No, I mean, so was I. I'm still on physical media.
Well, I mean, like, for my piracy, I was on physical media.
Crazy. But, so you never, because I was a Kazaa boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have this shared memory of just searching on Kazaa and downloading 50 songs. Like, I would look for Weird Al songs, and half of them aren't actually by Weird Al.
Yeah,
So-
I never did this. I had multiple people I knew who did this that then I got to have like physical stuff with, but I never personally did that.
You just yerked off of other people's piracy?
Yeah, I yerked off of other people's piracy, or I, sometimes maybe I got individual tracks from different sources. But yeah, I was not actually using those.
Wow. Weird.
Mm-hmm.
You're a loser. Can we make yerked a thing now? Like, anytime you want to say leeched or you call someone a parasite or use the word parasite in any context, just say yerk instead.
I don't know that quite works, but we could do it anyway.
It does if you make it work, you force it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how language works.
Make it yerk.
Make it yerk.
A bunch of, I don't know, boring earthquakes, bombings, stock markets, boring stuff. A lot of boring stuff.
When did that .com bubble happen? Was that 99? Was that 2002? Somewhere in that range?
I have no idea. I don't see a .com bubble bullet point on the
Okay.
wiki.
Okay. Because it's somewhere around there and it's like a big deal.
No, now this is fun. New English words and terms from
Mm
1999.
hmm. Mm
Blog,
hmm. Mm
carbon footprint,
hmm. Mm hmm.
dash cam,
Mm hmm.
texting,
Mm hmm.
vape. A couple
These
other
are,
ones that I
these
don't
are,
know what they mean.
these are good.
Now, why doesn't the wiki page talk more about, like, why isn't there just a big section for the Matrix?
Yeah, no, there should be a whole section for the Matrix. I agree with you on this.
99 was a very big movie year. I have a book. I forget what it's called, but it's about how the movies in 1999 were. It's like essays about movies that came out that year, and
Hmm.
there's just it's like an insane zenith of film. Like, they use that word correctly? Does that sound smart?
Sure. That you could use it that way.
It's like it's just so many like the best movies that year. Phantom Menace. Look, bear with me. Phantom
Hmm.
Menace,
Yeah,
The
yeah. I'm
Matrix,
barren.
Magnolia, Election, Fight Club, Office Space. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface here. Blair Witch Project came out that year. Like, it was a truly revolutionary film year. I think Eyes Wide Shut maybe was that, I think, was 99. Yeah, it was like just a million crazy fucking, cultural shift movies.
Well, after this, we'll do the 99 cast and.
Don't tempt me. All right. So now we're moving into 2000.
Can I just say before we move on, carbon footprint is a scam and it's propaganda. Okay, you can go on to 2000.
What? Okay, I feel like that's controversial. I wish you hadn't said it because I don't want people to get mad at us.
You can just go on to the 2000s now. I just
Do you
wanted to
remember
say it.
what about Y2K? You remember that?
I do remember Y2K.
And
That's the sex jelly, right?
Jesus Christ, no, that's
Classic Family Guy joke. Remember Family Guy?
I mean, the first thing I thought of when I said Y2K was the Y2K episode of Family Guy.
Yeah, tell me more about Y2K in the real world, though.
Oh, well, it was a computer bug. This sucks.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, the world almost ended, but it didn't.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what everyone thought was gonna fucking happen. The zeros won't be right.
I mean, legitimately, everything could have gotten fucked up, but and it could have been a pretty big deal. I don't know, it would have been the end of the world, but it could have been a pretty big deal. But then, everybody came together and fixed it because we were still in the era of the world where that was possible.
Yeah.
Like where we saw a big looming problem and we all kind of fixed it.
All right. I'm not going to go too deep into 2000. So, but just a little tease. We're going to put our foot in the water for next season.
Little toe dip.
America Online is going to purchase Time Warner, the largest ever corporate merger at that time. Maybe still. I don't know. AOL.
Anything else? Is that all that happened in 2000?
The inspiration for Web Access America.
Right, yeah.
All right, let's see. There's some more wars. Peanuts ended. Final Peanuts comic, and then Charles Schultz died.
Oh yeah, I do remember him dying. I had a giant like Peanuts golden anniversary book, and it was hardcover and it was gold and it was really big and it was like 50 years of Peanut strips.
Where is it now?
I have no idea.
Sounds sick.
Yeah.
I always want that. I always want to get that Calvin and Hobbes collection. But it's like, I mean, it's sort of pricey, and it's also just every strip in like 3 or 4 giant hardcover books. Like to read it, it feels like you're at a library researching like ancient Rome or something. Like it's this.
I want this.
Oh yeah, you don't know about this? Oh yeah,
I didn't know about this. No,
it's been on my list for ever. and I'm just like, wait. I'm like, someday there's going to be a good sale on it. I'm going to bite the bullet, and I've never done it.
Mm.
I think they're
Yeah.
reprinting them. I saw they're maybe making a new version though, where it's this like it's all the strips, but they're collected maybe in soft cover, like they're slightly easier to read, or there's more
Mm.
volume, so they're not quite as thick or something.
I do have all of the Calvin and Hobbes in softcover, but they're also old that they're like torn apart, and a lot of them are like the books are barely holding together. So might
Yeah,
need to
well,
update.
we're talking about Peanuts right now, so stop getting off track. You know what?
Right,
You know
not
what?
Animorphs.
You know what Microsoft released in 2000?
What did they release?
No
Windows
guesses?
2000?
Yeah, that's right. No, this is big. PlayStation 2.
That is big.
PlayStation 2 is out this year. You know Marco and Jake are
Hmm.
probably not buying that because they're too busy fighting for their lives. And
They're sitting here like my parents got me the PlayStation 2, and all I want to do is go play a video game on it. Trying to think of what Kay Applegate would think was on the PlayStation 2.
I gotta go play the Nintendo on it.
Yeah, that's right.
The new Nintendo came out for PlayStation 2.
Doom.
They're playing Doom and like just getting PTSD because they're having episodes. Remember in Harry Potter? Sorry. Remember when I think it's the first or second book they say that Dudley gets a PlayStation 2 or something, and it actually fucks up the entire timeline of Harry Potter because whenever it came out, whatever the system is, like that system shouldn't have been out for like 2 more years, and it makes everything not make sense if you try to figure out the timeline.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh,
That's pretty funny though.
yeah.
J.K. Rowling's a hack. K.A. Applegate would never fuck up the timeline in her books. It all makes perfect sense, flows together.
Yeah, anyway, there's like more earthquakes and shit, whatever. All right, so that's like the first half of the year, and I feel like that maybe that's where we leave it for this season.
Yeah.
Well, actually, by the time we get to the next season, will it be 2001?
The series does end before 9/11, so we won't actually have to cover 2001 through 9/11.
Not at all. Does it end before you even get into 2001?
No, it does end in 2000. I could be mistaken, but I feel like it ends around spring 2001. I'd have to check, but
because there's more than 12 books left, so
yeah. No, there's it gets in there. I know that we don't get to 9/11.
I'm looking at this now. Yeah, it looks like the next season would bring us about to the end of 2000.
Okay.
So maybe we should go through. Let's just see. Anything else interesting happen here? Oh, you know what else Microsoft released in 2000?
Office 2000?
No, Windows ME. Remember that one?
I do remember that one.
I have fond memories of that because it's nostalgic, but I'm pretty sure it was a very shitty OS that nobody liked.
Yeah, I don't think I ever actually had it. I think we were on Windows. We were on Windows 2000 till like fucking 2005, 6, way too late.
When did XP come out?
Before my mom switched over to it. Yeah,
because that was the good one. I don't think 2000 was good either. Like XP was, I think, the stable one.
Yeah, XP was good. This sucks. Let's fuck this.
But also coming up in 2000, Bush v. Gore. So big year. Yeah, this year we've got Biden and Trump. That back then it was Bush and Gore. It's kind of interesting parallels. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
What, you don't think that's interesting parallels?
Yeah. It was an election year. Okay.
Okay. Oh, you're so much smarter than me. Everyone listening is going, wow, Will's so much smarter than Jonathan is.
I'm pretty sure, wasn't 2000 a leap year that we didn't leap on? That's exciting, right?
What the fuck does that mean?
Like if you actually do the 1 day every 4 years, you get ahead, so you have to like remove 1 day every 1,000 years or something. So on 2000 we didn't leap or something.
The fuck? I don't know about that.
or something like this. I don't fucking know. It's
Also,
exciting, is what it is.
we should also
It gets you
say,
pumped.
just for symmetry, some of the highest grossing movies that year, coming up in the next season: Mission Impossible 2, Gladiator, Castaway. Back to our island discussion. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Meet the
My
Parents.
favorite movie.
X-Men. Pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. No 99. But
no, it's not a 99, but
yeah, I mean, when you put those back to back, you realize that this millennium is not going to be as good as the last one.
I mean, these are just the highest grossing. Let me just do a quick comparison.
Oh boy.
Here's some. Keep in mind what I just said. Mission Impossible 2, Gladiator, Castaway, What Women Want, Dinosaur, The Grinch, The Perfect Storm, Meet the Parents. 99, we had Sixth Sense, The Matrix, The Mummy, American Beauty, Austin Powers 2.
God, this is the worst fucking millennium.
Green Mile.
Send me back to the year 1000, please.
All right. So there's our cultural, your touchstones. So we're all centered. We know where we are. We know where we're at.
Yeah.
I guess if we must, we can now talk about Animorphs.
I didn't really want to do that today, but I guess we could.
Yeah, I mean, well, now that it's been 20 minutes in, I feel like we've probably got most of the people have left.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we always do this. We try to get out all the casuals. We only want the hardcore fans.
I mean, we were gonna talk numbers a little bit.
I don't know if we have to do that.
I don't know. People might be interested. I think it's interesting for people to hear the behind the scenes of a fledgling underground podcast.
Well, if that's what you think, you're welcome to do some numbers.
I just want to say we have an audience size according to our analytics on a weekly basis of it fluctuates, but it tends to stay in the range of around 100 listeners. Now
so
that's not
you personally are 1% of our listener base.
We should have plugged the Patreon at the start of this too. What the fuck? It's your fault. You rushed me into the timelines too fast. I had more to say about the show, and you rushed me into this.
Well, just keep talking, buddy.
I'm gonna edit a Patreon plug-in.
Keep going.
Anyway, it's not 100 listeners per episode necessarily, but that means people are listening to different episodes on average. That's a lot of fucking people, as far as I'm concerned. That's pretty fucking good for a podcast that we don't advertise.
Yeah, it was better than I was hoping for when we started.
And just as a little, our most popular episode is still the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, ducked out.
Nothing. The only thing that's maybe a little of an outlier that's not just listening from the beginning, book 20 is pretty high in terms of popularity. From this past season, let's see. Is there anything?
Yeah, does anybody struck by anything? Does anybody give a shit about season 3?
Well, the problem is it's just by nature of it being the most recent, people usually listen from the beginning. So
right.
It's always going to have the most listens. So it would be very unusual and interesting if something from this past season managed to rise that high up. But I don't think book 26 is probably. I think
is 26 higher? That would be the one. If there was going to be one, I would guess it was that one.
Yeah, it's not higher than anything else or much else, but I do think it's the most listened to episode of the last season. If that tells you anything. Book 25 also is up there. 27, 29, and now it's just kind of a general. This is what people are listening to. But one of our lowest listened episodes is book 35, The Proposal.
Oh, interesting. The most recent one, huh? The most recent main series book before Visser.
Well, sure. But I mean, it's low even compared to the ones that came right before it. I mean, book 34 has nearly double the listens as book 35.
Well, we're falling off, is what it is.
No, I just think no one likes that book. I think that's what that is.
That could well be.
All right, so there's your numbers, and also I just want to say good day, mate, to our Australian listeners. Oi, crikey!
How many do we have, Mr. Irwin?
4% of our listeners come from down under.
Wow, and what percentage of those are crocodiles?
Not in any of them. If I have anything to do with it, I'm always killing those motherfuckers.
Oh, wow. Now, I heard that we might have a stingray listener.
I gotta go. Well, he ran out.
Oh, damn, there he goes.
Scared him.
Bye, Mr. Irwin. I feel like last time he was on here, he said some problematic things, but I don't remember what they are.
I don't think he ever did. And by the way, we currently have 5 patrons.
That's pretty good. That's a 5% capture rate.
All of them love it, so I would recommend going to patreon.com/the Yerky Boys because you're not going to find better content on any other podcast fucking Patreon.
Yeah, you're not even going to find better content here, as you may be learning. You got to pay for the good stuff.
Yeah, that's true. We're more concise over there. It's shorter. You pay for less.
That's right.
All right. So we finished a season. What do we want to talk about?
All right.
Maybe I'll put timestamps in the show notes.
No, boy. All right. So I mean, the first thing is, so
look,
there is a lot of crazy shit.
We wouldn't have even gotten to the cover yet at this point. So
that's true. Yeah. So people are used to this. But so a lot of stuff happened. I feel like it might not be a bad idea since the season was so long and we took breaks to just kind of like do a brief bullet by bullet, like what are some things that are new this season, right?
Okay.
So this season, we learn what is up with the Elemist, and we meet the Drode. We meet Krayak, right? So all of that stuff before this season was kind of a mystery. Now we sort of know what's going on. This season, the Chi have started showing up all the time, right? Before they popped in once or twice, but now they are pretty regular fixtures. Mm-hmm. Cassie and Jake have started openly dating, and Rachel and Tobias are actually starting to show affection for each other. So the relationships are more like here and established. Visser 3 has started moving more and more into like villain of the week shit with his free will potion and his anti-morphing ray. I feel like there are a lot more books where he doesn't show up and his morphs almost never matter. Like we don't get big Visser 3 fights the way we used to. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. We first meet the Yerk resistance movement as like an actual thing versus just, there's this Aftran, and we get some more insight into Yerk society with Visser. We see a little bit more like Yerk and willing host interaction with Taylor and with Tidwell. And we get some Marco stuff. We really get a some big bombshells on moving forward on Marco's story with his mom that doesn't actually move anything forward. There's probably more stuff too, but like that, like a number of these things just like weren't happening before this season. And I feel like because this season's a little bit maybe scattered, it's kind of worth remembering that these are new.
Yeah. And I also feel like a couple of the things you said, the cheese showing up and mm-hmm. the Elemist stuff. Mm-hmm. It's also like, oh yeah, I feel like that had like the cheese in particular. There was a run where Eric was in every book, but I feel like mm-hmm. the last 4 or 5, then they've kind of backed off him a little bit. Maybe that's just my imagination. Maybe I'm not accurately recalling because of just the time apart.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that also you have to. Like, does Eric show up or are the Chi a fixture? Because, like, the Chi show up to do stuff for them in books 31 and 34. but like Eric himself, I'm pretty sure is in like 25, 26, 27,
Yeah,
29. And I think that she are probably he might show up in 28 too. Yeah, in 28 too. Yeah, yeah.
he's in Visser.
He's in Visser. He's sort of.
Do they actually say his name, or do they just say?
No.
Okay.
No, they're like there's some kind of tech here that's better than Andalite tech, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's certainly a little bit more of a. It's almost like he's just one of the people. He's just another piece of fabric in the patchwork of this thing,
Hmm.
as opposed to every time having to be like, here comes this fucking guy.
Yeah. And I feel like you have had fairly consistent criticisms of Eric
Yeah,
as
I
not
don't
really
like
being
him.
a character.
I really don't like Eric. I have to be honest. I don't. I mean, I don't hate him.
Hmm.
I'm not like, oh no, Eric's here. Like, I just don't think I just think he doesn't provide much other than plot device shit.
Hmm.
I don't like if there was no, if it was just a different chi every time, I think it would be pretty much the same.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard for me to say because, like, this for me was really like a golden run. Maybe not a golden run, but like this was like my like reading big golden era because I started reading at book 20. So like, 20 to 30, and that's where that big Eric run comes in. That's where I've like these are the new books that are coming out every month, and I've only just started reading new books every month, so it's like a big deal to me in that sort of range. So there was a lot of new Eric content coming out for me, and I feel like I got somewhat attached to him as a character because I do like him, but I can easily see where it's just like, yeah, I don't love him though. So maybe if I removed that attachment, I would feel exactly the same as you.
I mean, it hurts that you never get an Eric POV
Hmm.
and you never get a Chi Chronicles. So again, except for the book he's introduced in.
Hmm.
So, when he is basically if you had to pick a seventh Beatle, it's him.
Hmm.
But you don't get a window into him other than his thing is that he's a pacifist, and there's sometimes you get a little bit of his struggle of feeling like he wants to help but he can't, but very little, like not enough in my opinion for me to.
Hmm.
And it's also not, I mean, as of now, I don't know, maybe there's a very good chance this could come up in a future book, but other than the one book where they let him attack things, which, by the way, when was that? Was that his debut?
Yeah,
When
book
was
10 was the only book he got to actually be
God?
violent in.
Yeah, like, which they do refer back to several times because it's kind of his like pivotal character moment.
Hmm.
But other than that, he doesn't really, and like we don't get to really know what he's doing, like infiltrating the Yerks. There's not a story that centers around what if maybe he does need to have
Hmm.
attacking powers, as a 6-year-old would say.
Hmm.
This book, he just needs a little more. As it is, he just feels like, we need a robot because otherwise we don't know how to do this.
Yeah, he's mostly there just to like make some remarks and then leave. I do really like him in book 26. I'm trying to remember how you felt about him. I feel like that is where you were happiest with him, was
I
in
think I liked him
26.
there. Yeah, I think that because he had more use. He had a lot more to do and say.
Yeah, and he had a lot more like character depth in terms of like he has to cope with being a loving, playful robot, but he hates the Howlers because they murdered his people. He's got to like find ways to be useful in a fight, despite the fact that he cannot and will not fight. Yeah, like that is sort of where those concerns you're having are at least touched on.
Yeah, yeah. So it's fine. And but like I said, I feel like in the last 4 or 5 books,
Hmm.
I haven't heard much from Eric, other than
Yeah,
except like we have to pretend to be you for a while. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. No, 100%.
Now the other thing you said, the first thing you said, back to the Elemist, I want to
Yeah,
talk
the
about
Elemist and the Drode are like fleshed out now. We know what the hell is going on with the Elemist.
because that even more so after we
Hmm.
read the Attack, which is a
Yeah,
very important book for lore.
right.
And then the next book we meet the Drode.
Yes.
Or no, or maybe
Yeah. No,
it is
that is
the
it. 26 into 27. Yeah.
and so at that I think I said at the time, I was like, are we getting is the Drode the new Visser, or like is he going to be responsible for more story of the week? We're going to get a bunch of Krayak shit from now on. And I think the
Hmm.
Drode shows up only again in Megamorphs 3 this season, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh no, no. No, yeah, that's I think
I
that's right?
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he shows up anywhere else unless they
So
might mention him or like in your dreams or something. But
ooh, in my nightmares. um, I I feel like I don't know when if I were a kid reading these books month to month, I might be kind of pissed off. I might be like,
mm,
"Where's the fucking Drode?" Like that book was so crazy. Every month I'd be like, "We're gonna be getting back to the to Krayak this month, right?" And
don't try to pretend this is a kid thing. I know for a fact the
well, no,
listeners don't hear you off pod, but like in between every episode, you're just
listen.
coming to me like, "Are we gonna get the Drode next week? Please, Drode content.
Listen,
We
let
want
me
Drode."
be clear. I'm not saying as a kid because I would have been younger. I'm saying because I would have had to wait longer if I was reading
Mm,
these when they came out.
I see, a month instead of a week. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like I'm more forgiving now because it doesn't feel. But looking at it in retrospect, this is like almost a whole ass year with no Drode follow up.
Hmm.
I don't know. When you were a kid, I'm sure you didn't give a shit. You were just like, I want more animal facts,
Yeah,
please.
I told you I was never a Drode head, so
But not even Krayak? Like, you didn't want that to
yeah.
continue?
I mean, I probably did want more Krayak, but like, I guess I was just content to reread that one over and over. Maybe I was just too young to analyze what I wanted because, like, I was aware that the books were not as good, or like they were starting to drag. I was starting to want something that wasn't there. Maybe I just wasn't aware of what that was, and it was, um,
I mean,
you know,
on the
one,
other
yeah.
hand, I am. They aren't. It is nice that they're not oversaturating it.
Hmm.
Like at this point, we're very deep into the series, and Elamist stuff still feels very special and mysterious to me.
Hmm.
So they like I do appreciate that it's they have never gone too hard with him, and because I feel like that could have been a risk if they start running out of
Hmm.
ideas and we just get the Elamist shows up every week, and that's never happened. So that's a point in their favor.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, one thing, and this is something that I'm going to come back to a couple times here in a more general sense, but uh, I do feel like it's even more of a concern now that we've sort of defined the Elemist a little bit, because like before we knew he basically you just knew him as this mysterious trickster god type thing. Right? Like, I don't really know why he's doing what he's doing. I don't really know why he has rules or why he breaks them. He just shows up to cause issues once or twice. Um, but with 26, we kind of have this idea, oh, there's an antagonist. Oh, he's playing a game with this antagonist. That's why there's rules. Okay, they're blah blah blah. We've sort of defined the stakes a little bit. We've given him more motivation. You sort of understand to some extent what he's doing in a much more serious sense than before, which like I feel like if you take this super powerful being and you make him more definite, you kind of write yourself into a corner where like you kind of need to conclude. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like you can't just be like if the Elements did show up all the time, even before, it would be like, okay, so this is a story about these kids interacting with the trickster god. But like once you define it, it's like, well, now who cares about the stakes of these kids? It's got to be about the stakes
Hmm.
of the Elemist because they're
Yeah.
so much grander, and I actually know what they are. So you kind of have to like wrap your story up, or you just have to like make it a story about the Elemist at that point.
Well,
Um,
once you've uh, taken the red pill, you're not worrying about your office job anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, exactly. Like now I'm concerned about the stakes of the war and how they relate because the Elmist has like raised the bar on this. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So, but yeah, I guess yeah. I agree with you 100%. It's not oversaturated with the Elemist, but it almost feels like because they've taken that leap, like uh, you kind of you need to either forget he exists or maybe you need to oversaturate it. Like because you need to start wrapping things up.
It is, yeah, maybe it's just kind of a side effect of the fact that there are so many more books that we've read.
Hmm.
But yeah, in hindsight, it's like they should have been, every once in a while say Jake had a dream about the eye again or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
it's weird that it's such an important deal. And then it's like, yeah, just as you said, back to weekly business as usual for the most part.
Yeah. Because you can't,
Yeah.
if you do weekly business and you acknowledge it, then it
Mhm.
sucks. So you can't do, like, we need to make more books, so we need weekly business.
It's like when you're playing an open world video game and it's like the world is in danger. The world is ending. You have to defeat your arch nemesis. Yeah, but I looked at my map and I can go herd some goats for 12 hours. I can build a farm and I can help this
Right.
guy go fishing. It's like,
Yeah.
wait. There's like, what the fuck are you doing? The world's gonna
Right, right.
end.
And
Yeah.
this is something we brought up a little bit last season with regard to Cassie's arc, and maybe we can start talking about that with other characters too. Um, because at the time we said, and we've said again, book 19 really feels like an end series book because it really feels like we're actually like sort of Cassie is going through an arc and sort of concluding her character in a way. And I really like 29 as an end note to it. I know you're a little bit more sour on it than I am, but like she doesn't really have a new replacement arc for this,
Hmm.
right? Like she's just still kind of here. So
Yes.
like now what?
It feels like she has sort of she's in stasis. They're
Mhm.
just like, okay, here's the problem again. I mean, this problem stems back to book 19, I think. Like
Mhm.
it was a problem then too, is that once you take the character to this place, you either she's a pacifist now and the story's over, or she just keeps fighting and she's a hypocrite. It's like I don't know what you do with her at that point if you're not ending the
Yeah.
series.
Well, I mean like that was her I'm not sure I 100% agree with that
I
characterization
guess
because
she
I
can
feel like that's how
struggle.
she was in book 18, right? Or book in Megamorphs. And then in book 19 you sort of you resolve the paradox. You find a way for her to keep like maybe she is a hypocrite, but she finds a way to keep fighting while
Does
still
she?
like maintaining that pacifist edge. And that's good as a conclusion to that arc. But then again, then what do you do? Right? Like you did it. Right?
Yeah.
That was her issue and you resolved it,
Yeah.
narratively speaking.
Yeah, it doesn't
Um
feel like she's yeah, I'm thinking of I have to say of all the Animorphs in this
mhm,
season, she is the one who has the least
mhm.
personal stuff going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, cuz like, you know, we're kind of in a similar situation with Marco. Where Marco's arc is kind of like begging to be
Mm.
finished. Right? Like it's so close. He's like come to terms with the fact that he might have to kill his mom and he knows he's willing to do it and we've fleshed out his dad moving on and him like uh maybe fleshed out's a strong word, but his dad's moving on. We've got Ava as a character. We've seen Visser 1, we've seen all of this. We're ready. We're ready to be like this should be done now and wrapped up, right?
Hmm.
Or but like where it's not quite. They've just kind of left it like that. Um
Yeah.
I feel like Jake's in a similar thing because
Hmm.
he had his whole issue with maybe not as bad as Marco, but Jake had his whole thing with Tom. He's really come into his own as a leader. Like he's ready to finish like he's at a point where we can now finish the arc because we've established it. Rachel's kind of in a similar place because we kind of established that she was a psycho who needed to work on it, and we've spent this whole season being like, yep, she's a psycho, so now you need to go somewhere. I feel like Tobias's arc was finished in book 13.
Well, I guess sort of the new tack for him is his Andalite shit, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. It's just I feel like a lot of the characters have this sort of thing where they've got like a new tack, but it's not really an arc. It's just like attack. Or like Rachel
Right.
has issues with authority and maybe wants to be in charge, or like Cassie has issues with maybe being able to manipulate people, or Tobias has his Andalite thing, and they aren't really starting a new arc the way that you would need them to if you were going to
Mhm.
continue the series.
Yeah, they're not seeding much for later. What about Axe? He likes
Yeah, I mean,
TV now.
yeah, this is a big problem also. Like I know what I would consider Axe's arc to be, but they did absolutely zero with it this season whatsoever, and they only just barely hinted at it in the first two seasons.
Is
So
it
like
something? Is it something coming up you don't want to say, or something we already know?
I wouldn't want to talk too deeply about it, but like I feel like most of what Axe's arc you can say it is happens later, and I'm a little bit worried that maybe it isn't as strong as I always think of it as.
I will just say
Uh,
my perception of it,
yeah,
which
tell me.
you don't have to confirm or deny, is that it's his his wanting revenge for his brother's death. Like that's I feel like that's been the most primary element I can think of his quote
Hmm.
unquote arc or thing, as I like to
Yeah,
call it, is wanting to avenge his brother's death and get like become a respected Andalite warrior, that kind of thing. But
yeah,
yeah,
and so
you have a lot
much
of
of that
similar
has been
thoughts.
barely touched on since book 8.
Yeah, I mean, what did he even have? Yeah, he had two books this season.
Did he?
Yeah, he had the
No, no, he
cow
only had
book. That was it.
yeah, just the cowboy. There was another
Just
Andalite on
one.
a cover because it was a Tobias book, and he
All
turned into
right.
an Andalite.
Okay, yeah, no, I think I separated the cow book into two books in my head, but it's just one.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's, I mean,
fair.
that hurts too. We had because we did
Hmm.
get two. Is there no? Was there only one Tobias book too?
Yeah, we have two Tobias books
Okay,
just
there are
because of the way
two.
it lined up.
Yeah, so there just wasn't. Again, he only gets one book every so often. It's like, what can you do?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's harder.
Poor guy. Poor guy. I do overall this season definitely feels like I think if season two, the kind of the defining arc of it was obviously the David stuff,
Hmm.
then this season is definitely Marco and his mom stuff. Obviously driven home by Visser, but it feels like that's a through line in a couple other books, obviously the
Hmm.
Marco ones, but and like and then Jake and his stuff, but that's really only one book that Jake I feel like has that arc that's
Yeah,
in a meaningful way.
I mean, maybe you want to split it up and say like pre-30, it's like Chi and Drode and Elemist
Mm,
stuff, and then like post-30, it's Marco stuff.
yeah, yeah, we should split
Um,
that into two seasons.
yeah, maybe we should have, but it's none of it's as strong. Like none of it. We don't get a trilogy like we did David, and the David trilogy is really important for both Jake and Rachel's characters, in a way that like the Marco arc doesn't really conclude. You know?
Right. Yeah, it's like you said. It's kind of I mean, and it also doesn't conclude three times.
Yeah. Yes.
When it seems like it should.
Yeah.
I mean, all of this is just because there are too many books in the series. Like I think we both
Hmm.
agree that ultimately that's the issue with it. I mean, they either needed to write new arcs or write fewer books, and they didn't do either. or
Yeah, no,
so
it feels very muddled, and it feels like we're starting to get into a point where it's like, well, we got to put out another one next month, so let's do that.
But I will say personally, you are know more about the future than I do. But Cassie's the only one that I really feel like we said what is she doing? Like I can't even remember this season. I mean, yeah, okay. She other than her surgery book,
Hmm.
like what does she do? I feel like in the
Yeah,
first two seasons we would constantly be hearing her talk about
yeah,
the ethics of things and should we be doing this or that, morphing humans, is that right, all this stuff. And I don't even what is she just like goes shopping with Rachel now. What does she do?
yeah. No, that it is a problem. Like she throws out remarks every now and again, but she doesn't. Yeah, like she's not someone we talk about and bring up every book like we did in the teens. She's pretty well established. I like 29 as a capstone. I almost love 34, but then it completely drops the ball and ends up doing nothing with Cassie when it could have done something. And then her other book is the Helmicron, so she doesn't do much in her books, and then outside of her books, she's not very memorable, which is sad because she had the strongest book and the strongest character going into this season. But as we
Yeah.
said, like, what are you doing now?
I guess they're like, well, maybe we'll write some other characters now.
Hmm.
We'll give her a break.
Yeah, all the character arcs are out of sync, right? Like, you need to be concluding these all around the same time and not like, oh, I figured out how to do Cassie, so we'll do Cassie, and then, someday I'll figure out how to do Marco. We'll get there.
Well, this is more realistic. In real
Hmm.
life, it's not that tidy.
Yeah, and in real life, sometimes things are boring for months, so.
Yeah, Animorphs is very realistic in many ways.
In many ways, yeah, 100%.
What else? What else? Yeah, so
Uh,
so I don't know. I don't know.
I
Characters, they're
mean,
fine.
we started getting relationships
Right,
more.
right, right. Which
Uh,
that's
be,
like that's nice.
yeah, and we talked about it a little before this season. How we just literally didn't see, or we barely saw Rachel and Tobias. Like, I think we saw a decent amount in Tobias's books in 3 and 13, but then outside of that, not so much. And now we're at least seeing a bit of it in Rachel's books and in other people's books. Um, and this also kind of comes back to something we're circling around in terms of it being a little bit muddled. Is this is the ghost written season, right?
Yes. Sure
So
is.
yeah, so like that we speculated that might be happening because the ghostwriters were like, aren't these characters supposed to like each other, right?
Yeah, you definitely you get the kind of the same sensation as when season 3 the TV show hires new writers, and now the people writing for the show were fans of the show before they started writing the show,
Hmm.
which is a very different kind of when you have that outsider perspective and you're bringing those things into it that you liked or that you feel like people want to see expanded upon. And yeah, I think that's one of them where it just seemed like, yeah, they're like, why are we beating around the bush here? They're together. What are we just
Right.
let them date or whatever? um, and it's not a real big focus of most of the books,
Hmm.
which makes sense. I don't know. Would I like to see a little more romance? Maybe
Hmm.
not in a creepy way.
Yeah, I mean the ghostwriting. I feel like it starts off really strong, right? I feel like the first couple of ghostwritten books are all, fine to good. Uh, I don't know. 25 is
Mm,
is fine, is pretty good.
mm,
27 is pretty good. 28's
mm,
bad, but then 29,
mm,
at the very least is pretty good.
mm.
Like, even if you don't love it.
We'll see. We'll
And
see
then
when
it
we get to our
starts.
tier rankings what we think about these.
We'll see, but like I feel like it starts to fall off with the ghostwriting, especially the last two
Hmm.
feel actively
Hmm.
unfinished. As
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, we mentioned it when we read them that these feel actively unfinished, and I don't know if this is a luck thing where it just started off good or if something about the process is pushing them away. I think you'd mentioned at one point, I don't know if you still have it, that you had some kind of Michael Grant quote about the ghostwriting process.
Yeah, I don't. I think I just saw it on Reddit that he, in an AMA or something, he said that, or maybe it was just an interview. Or no, yeah, maybe it was an interview with another podcast or something. He said that, yeah, basically they're like the editing process was just chaotic, and they would make the ghostwriters rewrite shit. Right, like sometimes they wrote entire books and they just had to say scrap that book and rewrite it or scrap this entire section and rewrite it, and then they wouldn't have time to proofread the next draft or something, so it was just all over the place.
Hmm. Was
I,
that something that started early, or was it something that's like got worse?
that I don't know, but I mean, I assume it was probably started early. That would be my
Okay.
guess, but I don't know. But
Okay.
what I will say about the ghostwriting, I don't blame whatever
Hmm.
quality difference there might be in the ghost written season. I don't blame the ghost writers.
Yeah,
And
no.
I don't think the writing is worse than any other pre this season book. I think all of the issues stem from rushed and sloppy outlines. So basically, I blame K. Applegate and Michael Grant
Hmm.
still for for any faults of the season. Like for the
Hmm.
most part, maybe there's a couple exceptions. I think the ghostwriters, with what they had to work with, did an admirable job.
There's one where I blame the ghostwriter. In every other case, I agree. Like the 34 and 35, the books that I said feel actively unwritten. Part of the reason why
Hmm.
they feel like so like unedited, unfinished, is because both of those people ghost wrote other books already for Animorphs that were way better than those two. And so like I know what they can do, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is 100% structurally it fell apart.
Yeah.
You know.
It overall it was very, I think, I don't know, I guess it was worrying, it was concerning. I thought, like, there's a chance ghost written season, that means
Hmm.
this is it. This is the beginning of the downfall.
Hmm.
I do think there overall is probably a drop in quality this season, but
Hmm.
it's not a disaster, and
Hmm.
I don't feel like, I wouldn't be like, oh, when the ghost written, oh no, this
Yeah, yeah.
was gonna be bad. It's just, it honestly almost doesn't make a difference. Like I wonder if these books, if Kay Applegate had actually sat down to write them, would actually be much different for the most
Hmm.
part. I don't know that
Yeah.
they would be.
It's hard to know. I do think, yeah, I don't think it's a disaster either. Like I said, I have very fond memories of a lot of this season because of the fact that it was when I started reading not long before it, so I was getting these books like as soon as they came out, and I was getting really excited over them. Um, I think that I think it's gonna be a while before I'm just like, oh man, everything is bad. I think that we it's a frequency thing, right? It's like as opposed to getting like A's and S's punctuated by B's and occasional C's, it's all like, well, now we're getting like A's and B's punctuated by C's and occasional D's. You know what I mean? Like it's slowly falling down, and the troughs are deeper and they're wider, but there's still plenty of good books going along. And I do think the early 20s at least are still like good. I'm enjoying them personally.
This
Uh,
is like season 9 of The Simpsons.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, we're not, this is not classic Simpsons anymore, but there's enough there that you're still gonna probably buy that DVD.
Yeah, it was. I saw there was some website that like it would find the ratings from critics for each episode, and then it would graph the rating of
Yeah, yeah,
each
yeah.
episode. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and it was very funny looking at that on The Simpsons because I feel what is it? Is it like 8 and 12 or and like 11 people say are the last good seasons, depending?
Yeah, 11 is often used as the cutoff point, but
Because it
yeah.
was very stark when you look at The Simpsons, where it's like very, very high, and then it drops, but not that far, and then it drops again. Like two very stark drops. Like both of those could easily have been considered the end of good, depending on when your threshold for good was.
We have to do that with Animorphs when we're done. Do a graph
Hmm.
of our
That's
rankings.
yeah, that's smart.
I mean, I think we're already gonna. Well, I don't know. I don't. We'll see what comes. Yeah, there needs to be is there an IMDb for books?
It's a good question.
IBDB. Anyway, it's
Goodreads.
yeah. I guess, but they're not. People aren't logging Animorphs on. Maybe they are. We should look at
Hmm,
Goodreads.
maybe we will.
Maybe we will next season.
Yeah.
What else? Any other big? Visser 3. I feel like we've talked about that.
Hmm.
He's dumb. He's not even, like you said. He's almost not even that important anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, we've kind of moved on. I feel like this season it feels maybe a little more unfocused. Like I feel like there are a lot more, I think we brought it up before. There are a lot more like Animorphs go to X books, you know what I mean? They go to the Arctic, they go to the Isquart planet, they go underwater.
They go to
You know,
Hork-Bajir planet.
they go to the Hork-Bajir planet. There's also
They go to
like
Holocaust planet.
they go to Holocaust planet. Yeah, there's also a lot of like what if X books. I don't know, like
What if Rachel was 2?
yeah, what if Rachel was too, kind of thing. It feels like spinning our wheels, like we're just kind of throwing stories out there because we're not ready to move on.
It feels like I don't have a problem with these stories in a vacuum, but maybe they should have been peppered in
Hmm.
earlier amongst more important books. Maybe?
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I could see that, and yeah, I mean, because I think the Visser 3 problem is a symptom of that, right? Where
I
like
mean, yeah,
yeah,
go
we're
on.
like we're less focused, so we're less like he's just can't be the big bad because we're too busy doing random other
Yeah.
stuff.
The issue, just to again, I like to cross off people's bingo sheets when they listen to our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll bring up Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the thing, or I don't, I can't. There are, of course, there's other great examples of this, but a classic monster of the week TV show or style of storytelling, which Animorphs is,
Mm-hmm.
you can have as many monsters of the week as you want because at least the way I think is good to do it, and the way that many TV shows would do it, is you have the self-contained story, but also while that's happening, it somehow relates to the characters developing
Mm-hmm.
in a new way. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that not all of these books do. That they're like, so there's nothing wrong with I don't know. What's an example of one of these one-offs? Like go to Hork-Bajir planet, but
Mm-hmm.
then as we've said, Cassie's character doesn't feel like she's really progressing to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which that was in the book, like it was supposed to be at least. I think they just didn't execute it very well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm just babbling, but you know, there like I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think that I don't have a stance of like, oh, I hate filler, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
or every book should be an important lore book. But you can kind of do both, and they don't always do it the way I think they should do it.
Yeah, it feels like Hey Applegate is writing new outlines every month rather than saying like I have an outline for like then I know I'm going to be on for at least 10 maybe 15 at least 10 more books, at least 15 more books, and then not necessarily stopping then. So like what do I want to happen in these books? What should these characters do over the course of these books? What should happen in the story over these books? Okay, knowing that, let's try to write stories, and maybe some of them are filler. It feels like she's like, cool, I'm on for another 10, 15, 20 books. That means I just get to come up with a new story every month, and I'll just throw that in there, and maybe I'll even think of something for them to do.
Well, as we've pointed out, Kay Applegate loves her Star Trek, and as we now
Hmm.
know, Animorphs is Star Trek, and OG
Yeah.
Star Trek. There was there are a couple of recurring character episodes, but for the most part, those are entirely standalone. So, from her perspective, maybe she's like she's just, this is how it is. This is fun. This is
Hmm.
good. What do you need connecting, developing
Yeah.
characters for?
I'm just trying to make Star Trek for kids. I feel like if that's the case, she needed to put less
Yeah,
like story and structure, because like
right,
in Star Trek it's like they never, the whole point is that they're in the utopian future with the Federation. There's not an arc. They're doing
right.
things to keep this running, but in this one we immediately set up there's an invasion and we've got to do this, and with these characters have these issues, so like maybe we're doing something with that, right?
Yeah, that's the issue there for sure.
Yeah.
Then the other thing I remember you talking about is the Yerk movement,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
which again, I don't know. It comes up once, twice. It's not
Hmm.
that. It's nice to know it's out there, but I don't know that I feel that
Yeah. I've said it a
involved in
million
it.
times before, and I'll say it again. They seeded one of the down like issues with this series is that there's not enough focus put on this because it's very interesting, and they seed a lot of very interesting ideas, right? The way that we like when we see Aftran establishing or at least being a big figure in this Yeerk resistance movement. When we see Tidwell and his Yeerk, that's all really cool. When we get this, like, oh, the Isquort show that there is another way out, right? Like, this is the way out. They can get out. When we see Essam and Visser, like, we see all these really cool ways in which, like, you can start to build the semblance of a Yeerk resistance movement, of a Yeerk society that doesn't involve, militant conquest. And I would love to see that explored in depth in a way that the series doesn't really take it that much more in depth. Like, we see more of it, but like it should be deeper. But like this, there's a lot of it going on in here.
That should be maybe that should be the Eric plot. Like that, we should be seeing that through Eric's eyes, because he is our guy on the inside.
Yeah, and this should be something Eric wants. Like, what were the Chi even infiltrating the Yeerks for? Just to see what they were doing to humans? They didn't even know the Animorphs were around. So, like, what were they doing? Maybe they were trying to help seed a Yeerk resistance movement.
I think they are just nerds.
Yeah, no, I think that has got to be what it is.
Yeah, they're just like, they've been around for thousands of years. They haven't done shit to help humanity, have they? They just like to take notes and see what's going on.
Yeah, Eric's like, I helped build the pyramids. Not like I gave them alien tech. They had all the mathematics and the plans and stuff. I was one of the slaves.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder if I should have, I don't know, done something to try to slavery. It was whatever.
Yeah, I just figured I'd go be one.
Yeah, go be one Kenobi.
That's yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Go be one Kenobi. And what else? Any other? I mean, we'll talk more because we're gonna get into our rankings, and then we have some listener feedback. But is there before we get to that, any other big ideas?
I think those are a lot of my big ideas about the season. If you don't have that many other big ideas, then I have a question I've asked you both times that I would like to finish on again, which is that given that we're now on this season, we've seen everything we've seen, and given that we're moving forward into another season, what would you like to see moving forward? What are you worried about happening moving forward? What do you maybe expect to see, like, over the course of the next season? What are you thinking looking ahead?
Well, we've gotten over the hump of, oh no, is it gonna get bad? Is it gonna get bad? I'm no longer anxious about that. It's kind of like, yeah, it's gonna get bad. So I'm sort of I guess I've reached the acceptance stage of that. Which is not to say, I think like every book is bad now, but I'm just not, I don't know, I'm just not actively worried or upset about that. I know that I've seen what Ghost Raiders are like, so there's no longer an anxiety about what is this going to even be. I get it. Now, we are moving into the end game here. We're more than halfway through. We're in the final quarter of these books.
Not quite, but
third. I don't know. Yeah, we have the way we're dividing it. We still have 2 seasons to go. The last season is a little shorter, but
we got a season and then a final bit.
So there's still, I mean, the final bit is still like 2 months or something. So it's not like nothing. But yeah, there's still a lot of books to go. There's still a good chunk left here to read through. I mean, I obviously want to see more Ellimist and Krayak. I mean, that is the lingering thing that I'm like, why haven't I been bringing that up every week? It's because they just kind of disappeared, and I sort of forgot how important they were, which I guess is what they wanted us to do.
Yeah, you've been asking about the Drode, but you haven't been asking about the Ellimist.
Well, because he's always just kind of been like fucking off and not appearing, but I guess I thought the Drode would be meddling more because he's a bad guy. And he also seems like the Ellimist seems, I guess they both have to abide by this code they abide by, but it seems like the Drode was sort of the loophole, and maybe Krayak would use him more, but I don't know. Haven't seen that. For all I know, the Drode never fucking comes back again. It's extremely possible.
It could easily happen.
I'm expecting a Taylor to show up again. That is a thread that I think is a little bit weird that has not been followed up on as of yet. Obviously, all this Visser 1 shit, I'm curious to see if are we going to hear about the Anati War or whatever? Are we going to get an Axe book where he communicates, with his homeworld and we talk about them actually coming to Earth at some point? Like, the thing is, we're moving towards the end game. I'm wondering if the books will acknowledge that or not, or if we're not going to get an acknowledgement of that until book like 50. Are we even a little bit gonna start moving into those territories? And with these characters, are we just gonna see, Rachel is still angry. Tobias, it sure sucks being a bird and a boy. I don't know what else to tell you. So I don't know. I'm not in a place of, I dread reading these. I'm also not in necessarily a place of, I'm real excited to read one of these. But there have still been a few books where I have been excited and been like, oh, this is about this. Okay, this is cool. There's still threads I want to see explored and connected. And so, yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think that gives us a good idea of the mindset. And, there's no hiding the fact that we are going to get some bad books. There are still plenty of books coming up that I am excited to do that I think are going to be great. And there are also books coming up that I am dreading.
God.
Like I've got some potential like wellness check books coming up here, so we'll see. But listen, it's exciting moving forward. I'm still excited to move forward.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Well, let's move forward to our rankings for this season.
Yeah, let's do some tiering listing.
So to catch listeners up who don't know, we're now going to go through all 15 books from this season in order, and we are going to decide together what grade we want to assign them, a collective grade between S, which is the best, and I guess it goes to F. Does it
I
go
don't
to
think
F?
we've done an F before.
Let me look at our actual tier list. Yeah, it theoretically could go to F. We have
Okay.
never at this point graded anything lower than a C. Although I would have put one or two books at D.
Yeah, the problem is that basically every single book that one of us put at D, somebody else put at like high C or even B, and we compromised on like all of them. Like we haven't had we both agree this book needs to be down here. So that's why we don't have Ds, but like either one of us would have put Ds.
So we are going to each like give our own sum up and feelings on a book, but then yes, we will have to find a compromise because we have decided that's just the rule of our show.
Yeah, this is a collective tier list, not
we're the Yerky Boys, not the Yerky Boy and Yerky Boy.
Right, this is not a tier list to understand either of us. This is if you come into this show, how is it overall going to feel?
That's right. And last season, I think we talked about, we should have changed this one or that one, but we haven't done that. We've stuck with it.
We won't do, maybe at the very end of the season, we'll do some flipping around and do like a final ranking or something, but not yet.
And I will say this, season 1, it was a pretty even spread, but most of the books were B or higher, but there were 5 that were C's. So that was the most that had the highest number of books in terms of tiers was the C tier. So season 1, like not stellar, had 3 S's and 4 A's. So like there's some good stuff. Season 2 didn't have as many books as actually had close to as many books as this season. That one was much more like evenly spread out. We only had 2 C's that season. Everything else, B, A, and S had 3 books apiece. So we were overall very happy with last season.
Hmm.
I think more than season one, which I don't know if I feel like a lot of people might say they think season one had a better selection.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know
a
that I
sense I
would
get.
say that, but
Mm,
yeah, no, I mean, I think they're both pretty strong.
yeah, yeah. Um, there are certainly more books in season one that we liked less, which I think
Yeah,
is
I think that's
interesting.
probably true. Although I think a lot of those might have been
They might have been more me.
divided. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to. But yeah, I mean, do we want to start going through this season here?
Let's start. So I have put some preliminary. We both went through this time in advance and
Yeah.
assigned some of mine. I have to talk through them with you because I might not know exactly where I fall yet.
Yeah, there's a couple on mine that I'm a little flexible on, but I'm
Sure.
pretty, yeah.
So I usually I go first since I'm the newbie,
Sure, why not?
and
Go for it.
then you will agree or disagree.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so first is The Pretender, book 23,
Hmm.
which is the one where Tobias struggles with wanting to eat a rabbit. This is, and
And
again,
also his Visser 3 pretends to be his aunt who wants to
right,
take him
right,
in.
right.
And Beck the Hork-Bajir is missing.
This is the problem. You will help me out because I mean
Yeah.
I did look at some of these plot summaries and I looked at my old notes to try to refresh my memory, but
Hmm.
we read these months ago. There's a lot of Animorphs books in between, and these early ones are going to be a little fuzzy for me.
Okay.
But I so so some of the things I'm saying also look they might just contradict what I said in the episode. I don't remember. But I think you will ground us because you've read these multiple times, so your opinion is a little more formulated.
I'll at least remember what happened. I'll be able to yeah.
I think that this is a good start to the season. I think this was a good book to follow up on earlier threads of it's where Tobias finally finds out he's part Andalite. There's some fun stuff of being followed around town by a lady or following the lady around who we find out is
Hmm.
Visser 3 and Morph.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if I fully love this book because I remember it also ends kind of abruptly and it doesn't really explore that Andalite thing as much as I would want it to. So
Hmm.
for me, I'm in between on this one. I think maybe it's a B, but based on my fuzzy memory, I could and if you like it more, I could
Hmm.
almost see this one being in A territory, but I'm not sure if that's right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my inclination on this one was to give it an A, but I was willing to go down to B. This is, I think I would have, before this reread, called this one a B, but like spending time sitting with it, I like found that I did very much enjoy everything that it was doing. I liked seeing, Toby lead the Free Hork Bajir. I liked, Tobias's attachment to Beck. I liked the way in which he had to like his arc was like thrown into sharp focus by the fact that the lady could have been actually taking him in. I was less worried about the fact that they explored the Andalite stuff. I mean, obviously they ended it abruptly, like they always do immediately after finding that out. But there were enough moments in this that I really do legitimately enjoy it pretty much all the way through, and there are not really any parts of it where I was like, oh, this is kind of dragging. Oh, this isn't. I don't like these couple of chapters or something. Even
Yeah,
the rabbit stuff, which is a rehash, was
mm,
still fine.
yeah, uh, yeah. I'm willing to go A on this just to start off on a good foot.
Okay. Yeah, no, like I said, I could be talked into B, but my inclination's A.
Yeah, I don't have like overall negative feelings on this one, so I'm more inclined to believe that I liked it a lot.
Hmm.
And also maybe I'm like maybe I know what's coming up and I'm like, "Yeah, let's give us a win." Just be nice for the beginning.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So the next book is The Suspicion, in which Cassie
Hmm.
turns into an anteater. This is the Helmicron book.
Yes, the Helmicron book.
I'm just gonna flat out say it. I think this is a D. I
Uh-huh.
think this is a bad book. I think the Helmicrons, while fun in concept,
Hmm.
and kind of funny are stupid, and this book is stupid, and it sucks. And honestly, maybe it should be an F, but maybe I'm only giving it a D because like it's sort of like it's funny in
Hmm.
some respects. So at least there is some value in Helmacrons being in the lore
Hmm.
that's funny. So it's not like a total wash, but it's not a good book.
Yeah, sadly, I have to agree with you, even though
Thank
I
God.
love Helmacrons and I really, really wanted to be like the Helmacrons book. I think this book has about 2 chapters that are A or possibly even S material, and the entire rest of the book is like dead F. So I think I have to call it a D. Like, I really wanted to give it a C for having those 2 great chapters and for being Helmacrons. But like, it's got, I mean, again, the only book we didn't even bother to finish the summary of on the show. It's not a good book. It's a complete disaster. It is by far the most disaster of any book so far.
Well, I'm glad we can agree on that, and that makes this our first D-ranked book together.
Our first collective D.
And I think the other book I wanted to did I want to give the toilet book a D? Maybe I did.
I think you did. I think you did. I think you wanted to give The Secret a D. I think they're
I
all Cassie
know.
books that you wanted to give Ds.
I know I wanted The Secret to be a D. I
Yeah.
think this book is worse than The Secret.
I
So
mean, yes, it is.
maybe not as boring as The Secret though, but it is worse.
I like the skunks.
Yeah. And that anteater though. Okay.
Yeah, that fucking. There were like 5 how many anteaters were there? There was more than one. I don't fucking remember. It
Great.
was a disaster.
Our next book is The Extreme.
Hmm.
This is when they go to the Arctic. They encounter the Venbur?
Yeah, the
Venba?
Venbur from planet Vemba.
Why do I always say Venba? I don't know. Okay, it doesn't matter. The Venbur. Yeah, I liked the kind of survival stuff in this. I think that's always fun. We were talking about that in the Patreon recently, and I think this is similar.
Hmm.
I think that's a fun angle, trying to see the Animorphs have to get by on their wits alone in the wilderness. And the Venber are a cool enemy. There's some good Marco stuff. I like polar bears. I don't know. This is another one I feel similarly to 23, where I'm like, I think I'm between a B and an A, kind of, depending on
Hmm.
how you sway me. I think it's a good one.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. So I think coming into this season before I reread it, I would have gone with a C. Just as
Mm.
like, because I'm like, oh, I just remember this is kind of a book where they're like cold and nothing happens. Spending time with it, it felt more like a B because I like did enjoy a lot of the stuff that was happening. I liked the Vember. I liked Derek. I liked, it was fun. Some of the freezing to death stuff was not that bad. I'm going to go with B on this one. I felt like I could be talked down, but you'd have a tough time talking me up to A.
That's fine. And again, especially the first half of this season,
Yeah,
I could be over or underrating it with my memory. Like, I don't.
that's fair.
It's very hard for me to truly tell you how I felt about it. But yeah,
Mhm.
a B is fine. I just remember, was this the first ghost written book?
This was the first ghost written book, yeah.
Yeah, and I maybe that was part of it, that I was like, oh, for a ghost, if this is the ghost written books, they're pretty good. I'm
Hmm.
not mad about this. So
Yeah. I mean, I will say also, there were multiple times when I was going through this season where I was referring back to our old tier list to be like, am I overrating this because of some of the bad books in this season? Like,
hmm,
is a B this season the same as a B last season? So there were a couple
hmm,
times I was doing that as well.
hmm,
That's going to
yeah.
come more into focus later, I think. But like that might be a relevant issue as well here.
Yeah, I think I'm. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I think I'm staying mostly consistent with my
Hmm.
how I would rate these in any other season.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
happy with B for this though. I think it sounded like we were both happy with B.
great. Sure. Yeah, B for Marco. Good job, Marco. Okay, next is the attack.
Hmm.
This is the one we were talking about with Krayak and the
Hmm.
Elemist and the Howlers
Yeah,
and the Chi and everything. That we
yeah.
said was the highest listened episode of this season.
Hmm.
I this has got to be at least an A. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say, but I will say a different thing, which is I could see this being an S tier book. I think it's, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say it. I think this is the closest thing to an S tier book of this entire season.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is the only book that could be in the S tier. So maybe that's do we give it to this one for that? I do think it's a great book. I think it's easily the best of this season. So I'm pretty sure you agree. I think it's got to be at least an A. I don't know if you like it enough for S though.
I did call this an S. This used to be my favorite main series book, my favorite non-Chronicles book. Yeah, and I do still love it. The sheer amount of ideas and craziness that are jammed into this book without it ever actually losing control, right? I think is honestly impressive and memorable and interesting and fun. There are a lot of books that are less crazy than this that can't manage to juggle all of the shit that Kay Applegate tries to throw in them. I think that it is really good. I really like this book a lot. I would call it an S.
All right. Yeah, no, that sounds fair to me. I think it deserves it. And I think already you're seeing we went from A to D to B to S. Like there's some wild back and forths going on.
Yeah.
But maybe that'll start to even out soon. The next book is The Exposed. The Drode returns. And
this is the first Drode in The Exposed. He wasn't in 26.
Oh, right. Sorry. You're right. You're right. This is the first Drode, and they go underwater, and there's some Tobias Rachel relationship stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, not enough.
Yeah, the beginnings.
There's a lot of boring underwater parts that I thought were boring.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this one is not very difficult to discern. Straight up, just a C in my opinion. It's just it's okay. It's not really that good, but it's not that bad. It's fine.
So for me, this one is a B. One immediate difference is that for whatever reason, I think I said this when we did the book, for whatever reason, I like the underwater parts in here, even though I fully understand why they should have probably been boring. I really enjoyed them as a kid, and I still enjoy them now. This is the book that has the Drode for you. This is the book that has the Pemelite ship, which I really liked the Pemelite ship, and I still do. I think it's a lot of fun as a ship. This is the one where Marco has to carry Eric out of the mall as a gorilla in a Bill Clinton mask. Right? This is also the one where they have a fight in a crack house. I don't know if I enjoyed that part as much as the other things that I brought up. For me, I think this is a B. I can't really put it beyond that. I don't know. How do you feel about it being a B in light of like Pemelite ship, Marco carrying Bill Clinton, Drode?
Is that enough? Ship, I think, is dumb. So you're not guessing me with that. You
don't like the friendly computer and the password is 6 and it looks like Snoopy?
No, it doesn't make sense. Why is it at the bottom of the ocean all this time? I don't know.
They're hiding it.
They well, it looks like them.
You just don't like Pemelites. It's like a Gundam, but for Pemelites.
Imagine if airplanes just looked like a big person.
I don't have to. That there's an entire genre of this.
Those
coming out
were
of Japan.
Designed to. Can this thing use its arms and fight?
They don't fight, but it could probably play catch with another ship.
Okay, it's stupid. However, I think this is a C book in terms of quality. Honestly, overall. However, I do love the Drode, and this is maybe the best Drode book. So for that reason, I think I can agree to give this a B.
Okay. Yeah, because like I honestly, I 100% see how those things would not elevate it if you found the underwater scenes boring, because like if you just, a couple of good scenes, what doesn't necessarily bring it up. Like if you look at the structure of the book, I feel like you do end up with all this dead space if you just drop that out, which didn't happen for me.
Yeah, well, I said it at the time. They teased the Rachel Tobias stuff, and there's like one page where they actually have a conversation. I'm
Mhm.
like, that should have just been happening the whole time. But anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, are we gonna stick with B, I guess?
Yeah, B for the Drode. It's for the Drode.
Okay, B for the Drode.
We
B
both
for
love the Drode.
Brode. The Brobe.
Okay, so next book 28. After I began that by saying there's no argument for me, it's a C. immediately went back on it. All right, 28, the experiment with Axe turning into a cow and a potion that gets rid of humans' free will. I also think that this is a C. It's pretty dumb. The free will potion thing, we don't need to get into it. I know you have a lot of issues with it. I
Mhm.
wonder if this is even below a C for you
It
because of
is.
that stuff. Oh wow. Wow. Well, go ahead. So it's a D for you, I take it.
Yeah, it's a D.
Is it just the free will stuff or what?
Well, just as the
Okay.
problem is that the free will stuff makes the entire back half of the book completely pointless.
I
Like
feel like in my memory they don't actually talk about that shit until like the last third or so.
yeah, well
So
they
that's
they
why.
tell you at the beginning that's what it's about. And then
Mm,
we do all this shit that doesn't matter, and then at the very end we say it doesn't matter, but we haven't been talking about that the whole time. It's like a whole bunch of boring stuff that doesn't go anywhere and doesn't say anything interesting, and it's all in service of the free will thing, which, like, in the book they write off as being not worth thinking about and pointless. So it's almost like half the book is just garbage. Um,
yeah.
and then the front half I like because of Axe and all his stupid TV, but like seeing that he doesn't do any more of that until book 35, and when he does do more of that, it's bad. I can't help but go look at it and be like, I don't even know if that helps it that much.
See, I think that for me, that is why it's a C for me. I do.
Hmm.
We both agree that Axe watching commercials is funny.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so I can't like that's funnier than anything in the Helmicron book, for example. Like for me, that's enough to elevate it. Like at least I like that stuff, and there is a lot of that stuff in the book.
Funnier than Marco's groveling?
Well, that was more erotic for me. So I like initially I'm like I'm with you. You're right. It's not really a good book, but then I'm like I don't know, like half of the book is like kind of funny and fun. So I mean, you could also argue that that stuff is like ultimately not good for, or at best doesn't
Mhm.
contribute to, at worst actively detracts from Axe's character and personality.
Even that part is like so hampered by just having so much well, we got to do all this bullshit to acquire a cow in a way that doesn't make sense and didn't need to happen because we want to do a bunch of jokes with cows. Like I don't know, just so much of it. It has so few redeeming qualities for
And
me.
the chimps, right? Is
Yeah.
this the chimp book?
Yeah, this is the one where they're chimps.
That stuff was all bad.
Yeah, like this is most of the book.
But this is better than Helmicrons though, right? Has to be.
I mean it is not it is a book. It does not completely fall apart as a narrative.
Which
I
is
I
not to
think
say like it still could be a D, but
oh yeah, no. I really don't want to say that it's better than Helmicron. It is objectively better than Helmicrons. I don't know that
I think
I don't
you
know
have a
that I like it better than
particular.
Helmicrons though, because at least Helmicrons I get to think about Helmicrons, which I like
I
doing.
I feel like this is a very specific. You have like a philosophical disagreement or stuff with this thing that is like a thing that ruins it for you.
In some sense, but it feels
I feel like you're bringing some
even without
baggage to it.
rehashing the argument though, it feels like this book is trying to say something but instead doesn't say anything because the author put zero thought into what they were saying. So instead they just do nothing and the whole book is nothing and it's garbage.
Oh my
Like
god.
if they did something and I disagreed with it, that would be one thing, but they actively do not engage with what they're saying. Like they just do a bunch of scenes.
Poor Amy Garvey. You're breaking her heart.
Fuck her.
Oh my god. Look, if you wanna say these messages is a D, then let it be upon your own head. I won't fight you
Uh,
because I don't care enough to defend this book that strongly. Like you obviously hate this book more than I don't care about it. So
yeah, I mean, I do really not like this book. I guess there are some saving graces. The, I also want to hold on to this bad one because I know I'm going to lose some arguments for books I love coming up. I just can't have my way on some of these later ones.
we will see. Like I said, we're starting to get into where my memories are a little more solid, but
Hmm.
it's a little fuzzy. And also, I just, for a C, I'm like, whatever. I don't really care if you think it's a D because it's just I don't really care about this book, but I do like these messages. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
listen,
D.
I like these messages too, but
Yeah.
all right,
Well, apparently you don't. Not enough because it's a
not
D.
not enough. Not enough to raise the whole book. Not if Marco's groveling can't save Helmicrons, which it can't.
Okay. Next, we're gonna move on to number 29, the sickness.
All right, this is a big one, I think.
This is when Cassie, the yam fut
Yes.
is the disease that is infecting all the Animorphs. One by one, they fall away, and it's up to Cassie to perform brain surgery to cure Axe, and then they all get better. Oh, and Aftran's in it too.
Hmm.
A lot of stuff happens. You got Mr. Tidwell.
Hmm.
Now, look, I know that you're thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna trash this book," because
I
we
don't
had a
think you're
big.
going to trash it, but I don't think we're going to be on the same page.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I don't know what you're. It's not an
Uh,
A. If you're going A, it's not an A.
hmm.
I what I wrote down for this was somewhere between C and B. I actually do think it's probably closer to a B, even though I think that the ending is ridiculous. Again, we don't need to rehash this
Hmm.
argument. I even said at the time, I don't think it's a badly written book, and I liked most of it, even though my suspension of disbelief was tested. I think I think it's good. I don't mind the one by one we fall away trope, even though we've said they start to do that a lot. I think the stuff, I guess, again, I said again, repeating myself from the episode. Part of the issue is that this is kind of a sequel to The Departure, and I don't think it lives up to that book. And
Hmm.
I don't really. This doesn't, to me, really feel like a fulfilling or satisfying conclusion to the Aftran storyline.
Hmm.
I wish that had gone on longer. I wish there was something more with that. So in some ways, I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about it. I can live with a B. I don't think I can go higher than that.
Hmm. All right, are you ready for what
I
I
know
rated
I
it?
can't go higher than that. If you say S, I quit the podcast.
I did write an S.
You're fucking crazy.
This book is an S for me. I really like this book a lot. Uh, I understand what you're saying about Aftran. The Aftran storyline, like it could have continued, but we sort of cap it here. But the way in which we cap it, I think, is a really good like payoff and reflection of the metaphor at the end of 19. Obviously, it doesn't live up to the best book in the series, but like I really like it as an extension of that book. I love seeing Yerk resistance movement. I think Tidwell is interesting. I like Axe being sick at the dance. I honestly love Cassie being a badass and taking care of all this shit, and I love the surgery scene. This
Yeah, you
book
get
is
off
an
on
S.
that
This is a
shit.
top tier book. This is one of my favorite books. It's up there.
Okay, I'm happy for you. It's not getting an S.
I mean, no, I know it's not getting an S.
I mean, I don't even. This is really like
Man,
I don't.
I was really hoping you were gonna say yeah B-ish, and then maybe I could talk you into an A. But like you're saying B to C, and you can't even move up from there.
I did not expect this.
No, I really like this book.
I don't know. I'm not like C is maybe too harsh. I think C is too harsh. I
Oh
I
yeah,
do
I'm not willing to accept a C.
I know.
I'm
I
trying to
know that.
decide how much I want to fight. I want to fight on an A, given that you were drawing a hard line at B.
I'm just looking at the. I know for you this is not an argument. You love it, but I'm looking at other like A books.
Hmm.
Honestly, a lot of our A books aren't that good.
I feel like some of them might be better than you remember.
The problem is I'm looking at them and I'm like, what happens in that book? Is that an A? Like, I don't know. Is that good?
Hmm. I will say this: out of all of our S books, other than like I'm not sure if I still want The Stranger to be an S. Out of all of the other books we've rated S, this is my least favorite. Like this would not be as good as any of the others. But I do think I like it better than most of the ones we rated A, except for the Predator, which I think probably we should have raised to S. And that was my fault.
Yeah, you're an idiot. I truly don't even remember. Another problem is it's hard. Like season 1, as we said, like I didn't have a full idea of what to expect from the series, so it's a very different thing ranking a book at this point.
Hmm.
Like, because part of me is like, I don't know. Here's the problem.
Hmm.
When I wrote my notes about this surgery business,
Hmm.
I wasn't. I don't think I was necessarily writing them going, this is fucking ridiculous. I don't think I was mad. Well, I was maybe bewildered.
Hmm.
But it's when you pushed back on it so hard and that like shocked me so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason is because you were coming in bewildered and like, I don't like it, and I was like, yeah, I really like this, and this is like a top tier favorite book, so like,
Yeah,
naturally,
you were
I'm pushing
defensive.
back.
So maybe I don't want to like color my opinion of this book with my opinion of that argument.
That's fair. I would
Like,
be very sad to have to agree to a B on this book. I mean, God, I don't even know if I have to. I'm resigned. I was already resigned to not getting an S, though. I knew that was not
I
happening.
mean, I guess I have to say, like, if this is one of your favorite books, and this is our representative rankings between the two of us, then I guess it has to be an A. Because it's just,
I think
you
it would.
know,
Let's
if you
see.
feel if you feel that strongly about it,
I think
and
it's got to be. I mean, it's definitely a top 10 for sure. There's no question in my mind it would be that.
yeah, and
Um.
I'm not like I said, I didn't love it. I don't think it's bad. I think an A is too strong, probably, but I don't think it's crazy.
Mhm.
I'll come around to your side for that. I don't think it's like
Mhm.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I guess also part of the problem is that, and this is something like I feel about it like you have to think about it in relation to book 19, and I feel like you're saying like it doesn't live up to book 19, whereas I'm
Yeah.
thinking more like the existence of book 19 elevates it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm almost taking the opposite position on that. Might be
Right.
part of the issue.
Yeah. It's a weird divide. Look, you win. I'm willing to A this one.
All right. Well, let's see what happens going forward then.
I'm
I feel
giving
like we're
in.
going to agree on most of the rest of these except one. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. So now we're on Elfangor's Secret, Megamorphs 3.
yeah.
This is when they go back in time. I honestly wonder if you went lower than me. I just think this is a C. I don't think it's very good. I think it's easily the worst Megamorphs book. It's that we've read, at least. There's one more, I think.
Mhm.
It's there is some cool stuff in it. There's some fun stuff in it. There's also a lot of stuff you got to just dredge through that's not entertaining to read. I mean, I could see if you say it's a D, I would probably go with you. I think I
Mhm.
said it's a C just because, you get Tobias kills Hitler.
Mhm.
It's fine. I don't think it's very good. Honestly, maybe it's a D. Maybe I'm being too kind to it because I'm like, oh, it's kind of an event book, but I
Mhm.
actually don't think it's very good.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I'm pretty much entirely in agreement. I said it was a C. I like the opening chapter. I like the Tobias kills
Right.
Hitler and the reaction to it. Most of the rest of it isn't actively bad. It's just boring as hell. Maybe that's worse. I don't know. So I was like, I could be talked into a D for just how much of this book is a slog and exhausting. But like, it's got enough moments, and it never like makes me hate it. So like, I was going with C. If you wanted to do D, we could go down, but I'm
Yeah, I
I'm willing to stick
guess
with C.
C is probably fine. I mean, I do like the I think it gets the Drode bump is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think basically any book with the Drode in it for me goes up a letter grade.
Okay.
So I think that's it.
I'm excited for. We'll
The
get
Drode
like a.
Chronicles.
We'll get like maybe we'll get a Drode book and you'll rate it an S and I'll rate it a D and you'll be like, yeah, but it's got the Drode. Well, you never know. Could happen.
Well, I hope it does. I hope it does. Next is the reunion.
Hmm.
Marco rediscovers his mom and turns into a cockroach, and then does he kill his mom in this book, or is that later? Yeah, he
Yeah, this
kills
is
her.
the one where he goes to kill his mom. Jake does it for him, but then she doesn't die.
I put this one down as a B. I think it's good, but it frustrates me that it ends on a cliffhanger, literally, kind of. That I don't really like that, and I think there was also some character stuff in this one that didn't fully I didn't think was fleshed out enough, or I didn't fully believe or understand the characters' reactions or uh, the way they presented things to each other. But I think it's good. So it's a B.
Yeah, I also put B. I agree. I think that there's a lot of interesting stuff. I think it's a cool thing, like culmination of Marco's mom, but then it doesn't actually culminate. It just ends where we were. And there's a couple points where it feels like, I don't know, like something about it structurally is just like not quite punchy enough. But yeah, I put a B. I like it. It's good.
Great. Not controversial at all. Next is 31, The Conspiracy.
Hmm.
This is when Jake is going away because his grandpappy dies.
Hmm.
What's his name? Grandpa G?
Yeah, Grandpa G, who's his
And
great grandpa. The G is for great.
thank you. I forgot that. And Tom is upset because he's a yerk.
Hmm.
I think this is a great book. This is one of the best Jake books in my opinion. I think it's one of the best books of the season. I put it as an A.
Yeah, I put it as an A too. This is a book that I looked at and I was like, oh man, I'm feeling really good about this book. I love it. Is this an S? And then I looked at our other S's and I was like, no, no, it's not. I think it's an S because I'm looking at some books right next to it and comparing it directly to them. It's not. It's A is solid.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So far we are in agreement on
Um,
these.
I actually, though, it's funny because you say you think it's one of the best Jake books. I do think both 16 and 26 are better.
You're going to have to remind me what the fuck even happens in those books.
26 is the one we rated an S this season, and 16 is the one
Oh, duh.
where you get Go Vikes and the cannibal and
You know what? Let me put it this
on the
way.
internet.
I
Hmm.
think this may not be the best Jake POV book. I think it is the best Jake book.
That's reasonable. Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you on that. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great. Good. Okay. Now here we go.
it's an A.
Here we go. 32.
Okay.
The separation.
Okay, let's see what you have to say about this one.
This is the one where Rachel splits in two, and there's a mean
Mhm.
Rachel that famously
Uh-huh.
a lot of people in the fan community think is really bad. I liked it.
Mhm.
Truly, in my heart, in
Mhm.
my heart, I
Mhm.
I sort of want to call this book an A, but even I
Uh-huh.
even I had my problems with it in terms of mostly with the way they treated nice Rachel. Like the
Mhm.
split of those personalities, I just couldn't get fully on board with. So I did have my issues with it. I don't think it's definitely flawed. I just had a lot of fun with
Mhm.
it. So, being more reasonable, I'm calling this a B.
Hmm. Okay, so I
I actually
called this
don't
one a
know
C.
what. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Go
I
on.
mean, maybe we should look at fan reactions to this book to see if I was on the right page with
Well,
thinking
we'll
that, because I
see.
don't know for sure.
We're gonna get to the
Yeah,
Reddit. We'll
okay.
see.
Okay, okay.
Um,
Yeah, I
I
called
think
this
I
a
will fight for
C.
this book. If you get your
No,
A on
I.
the other one, I want a B.
Well, I'll tell you why I got a C, but I think I'm willing to give you the B in part just because it's very funny to me. um, but yeah, I mean, like, listen, I agree with you that it is very fun at times, and I think that it's doing more than you might give it credit for. But I think it does get like there are some very like cool and interesting ideas going on in the Rachel split. And we get a little bit of fun with some like Rachel X Tobias, Rachel X Marco stuff. That's always good. But like you said, the stuff with some of the issues with Nice Rachel get, and some of the issues with especially with like, oh, we have to make her have a sense of duty so that they can resolve it, and the way in which it's resolved just not working or mattering. A lot of that stuff just kind of confuses the good stuff to the point where I have to bring it down to a C for me. But I'm
Mhm.
kind of willing to bring it up to a B just because that's funny. I mean, especially if you're thinking A, the average of A and C is B.
That's right. And like I said, I wouldn't really. It's like an A in my heart. Like
Hmm.
I like it a lot, but
Hmm.
objectively looking at it, I'm like, yeah, there's stuff here that's not well done.
Hmm.
But I just think it's really fun, and I wish there were more books in this vein. This is what I like.
Hmm. You
And as
just
you
want her
said,
to rip off Star Trek for every book, like
yes.
directly.
And as you said, it is funny for the Animorphs podcast if everybody hates this book for us to give it a good
Yeah.
score.
Yeah. I think we should give it a B. I'll
Great, good.
give you the B on this.
I wasn't gonna let you not give it to me.
Okay.
Next is 33.
Uh-huh.
33 is the illusion. Is this
Hmm.
Tobias or Axe? It's Tobias.
This is Tobias. Yeah, it's got an Andalite. It's got Axe specifically on the cover, but it is Tobias.
um, what this? Oh, right. This is the morphing ray where he gets captured by Taylor.
Yeah, and then tortured for half the book.
Um, I'm sort of in the middle on this one because I said before I'm not as enamored with Taylor, perhaps, as a character, but
Hmm.
I did really like those scenes where he was captured. I thought were good. I'm kind of like between. I'm kind of feeling B-ish, but I feel like I could understand an A
Hmm.
if you wanted to go that high.
Hmm. I have A/B written down because I was really
Hmm.
not sure where I wanted to go.
Hmm.
I like Taylor a lot. I understand the issues you had with her. I think that the like weird abstract hallucinating that Tobias does while he's let's takes up like a third of the book while he's being tortured are some of the most like interesting bits of writing in this season. I
Yeah.
also think that the beginning of this book drags a lot and feels like
Hmm.
a low C book where it's just like, okay, we're
Hmm.
at the sharing again. They're doing shenanigans again. I've seen this a
Yeah.
million times before. When are we going to get to the part that I actually like? Oh, it's like halfway through the book by the time we get there. And that does
Hmm.
drop it down. Like, I want to give it an A for the good parts at the end, but I also kind of want to give it a B for making me wait. I honestly am not really sure which one I would lean with. That's why I didn't pick one.
Maybe this is a capture situation where we love one
Uh-huh.
part of the book, but
I don't even
it
hate the other part. The other part's just
yeah,
not,
it's
you know,
fine. This
yeah.
is when they're at the playground and they're scoping out the security.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Hork-Bajir playing poker.
Right.
Marco and the Fondue would be great if it were happening in book 6, where the capture was. But it's not. We're in book 33.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I guess the question is the second half of the book strong enough? A
Hmm.
B is probably safer. That's probably the right choice, but
Hmm.
but I like you said, I agree with you. I do think some of the best writing certainly this season.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough. It's kind of a tough call. Um,
I mean, we could stick it in B for now. I was also having this
yeah,
problem with this book where I was looking at our other A's and I was like, I don't know that I like it as much as these other A's,
yeah.
but I do think I like it more than these other B's. So I
Mm.
was like, I don't, it's so hard to,
It's either a low A or a high B. It's just like right on
yeah,
the cusp.
yeah.
Yeah.
We could stick it
Um,
in B to start and maybe we move it later,
yeah.
unless you,
Sure. Maybe we'll
I'm,
reevaluate it at the end of the series.
yeah, when we'll do the like I said, I really do think five. You when in the first recap, you had said five should be an S, and I was like, that sounds crazy. And then after the episode, I remembered like three things that happened in it, and I was like, fuck, why didn't I do what you said? Um, so we'll do a whole ordering of everything maybe at the end,
Yeah. No,
but
I'm torn on this one too. I feel kind of bad giving it a
mhm,
B, but I just don't know. I just don't know if it's quite up there.
yeah,
You know what? Maybe it's an A. Maybe it's a fucking A.
I'll take whatever one you want to do.
Because that's why it's not an S, right? I mean, if we really like half the book,
Hmm.
I don't know. Let's just be nice. We'll give it an A.
Okay, we can give it an A.
We'll be softies on this one.
Hmm.
Because it also had a fun song that went with it.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
that's
wait.
true.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it did. Right, it
Yeah, it
did.
did. It did.
All right. 34, The Prophecy.
Hmm.
Cassie gets Aldrea's mind put in her. They go to Hork-Bajir planet. This was a complicated one for when we discussed it on the podcast for me because
Hmm.
I liked the book for a large part of it. I think I like it a little less than you, although I know you were soured on it by the ending. I think afterwards I felt like there was a lot of retread stuff here. It's still kind of fun, and there are some interesting ideas in it. Um, I wrote C. If you
Hmm.
wanted to make it a B, I think I'd probably be okay with it.
I
But
also wrote C.
okay,
Uh, in my heart, I really wanted this to be a B because there are some really truly great moments in the first half and things that I really, really like and wanted to see more of. But like,
yeah,
it wasn't like a 33 situation where half of it was good, like really good, and half of it was kind of eh. It was like the back half. What made the bits in the start so good was that they promised a payoff, and when we
yeah.
didn't get a payoff, it didn't. It wasn't just like we got good parts and bad parts. It was like the bad parts are undercutting the good parts, and I think I just have to give it a C. I want it to be a B,
Yeah.
but I think it's a C.
I think the issue is it's wasted potential.
Yeah,
They could have this should have been an A or an S. This could
yeah,
have been a great book, and I think that's what makes it so disappointing.
yeah, 100%. Especially as a guy who loves the Hork-Bajir Chronicles
Yeah,
even more than you did. I really, I want to see Aldrea and Toby. I
yeah.
want to see Aldrea bring Dak's ideas of resistance to Toby's new revolutionary mindset and for them to actually engage on that. That's so cool and interesting, and it's promised, and it doesn't quite get there. Very
I'm
sad.
yeah. I thought you would put it a little higher, so I'm a little surprised, but
I wanted to,
it's
but I
fair.
couldn't.
Okay, then we have our last numbered book, 35, The Proposal. Marco's dad is getting married, and
Hmm.
there's an annoying poodle, and there's a guy on TV.
Hmm.
Is this a D? I think it's a. I think we both agree this book was exhausting and unpleasant to
Hmm.
discuss.
Yeah. I wrote a D. I strongly considered writing an F, but I was like, I don't know that I can do that.
I don't think it's as bad as an F, but it isn't very good. It's not. It's also not like it's not like the Helmicrons where it's so dumb. Like
Hmm.
at least it is trying to move forward Marco's relationship and his dad's life.
Hmm.
Like those scenes that we liked. So there is some stuff in there that's okay.
Yeah, all two chapters of it.
Yeah, but Okay,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
it's a
listen,
D.
it's confused, but it is still a narrative, unlike D.
Right.
But there's the stuff that the two chapters I like in this, don't have that like punch factor that D has. or that D has, that 24 has, that like the Helmicrons have to come from the Helmicron story. You could have put these chapters into any other Marco story and it would have been fine. Like,
Yeah.
just you give me more of those chapters or a story that engages with them or something in a real way and not a stupid, oh no, he has emotional issues, so he can't morph.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
It's
a D
stupid.
I'm satisfied with.
Okay, this brings us to our final book, Visser,
Hmm.
which will probably, I don't know. We'll see how this goes.
Hmm.
I'm I can't I cannot call this an S,
Hmm.
which I think up
Hmm.
to now, yes, both the first two Chronicles books both we gave an S to.
I think I had to talk you into Hork-Bajir. I think you wanted A on
A
Hork-Bajir, but you were
little
willing to go
bit,
to S.
yeah, a little bit. I think in retrospect, maybe after reading this season, I'm like, no, it's we can keep it as an S.
Hmm.
But yeah, a little bit I had to be talked into it maybe, but this definitely does not live up to those two for me. I put it as a B. Honestly, some of my I feel like some parts of it I even lean towards C, which probably sounds very harsh to
Interesting.
people. I
That does
this is
sound very harsh.
Yes, I mean this is probably my maybe will be my hottest Animorphs take ever. Besides liking the separation, I don't really like this, but it's like it's okay. It's not bad. But I laid out my problems in the episode that we just
Hmm.
had, so I don't need to like
Yeah.
rehash it now. But and even I'm guessing you're gonna put this as an A, and I'm like, it's honestly for one of the Chronicles books, I feel like even being an A is enough of a demotion that it feels significant. So
Hmm.
I could live with that in a way, just as long as it's like we are being cleared in our rankings, being like, look, it's a step down for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, I said a B. I think of where I land ultimately.
Okay. I am sticking with an S on it tentatively, or at
Wow,
least that's
wow.
what I'm doing. I recognize the issues that you had with it, but I still feel the relationships that Visser 1 had, I think in a way that you didn't. And I have fond memories of this book and it fleshes out a lot of like things that I find super interesting. Um I fully understand the argument for it not being in S, and I don't like it as much as either of the other Chronicles, I don't think. But I still wanted to put it up there. And I think generally the writing is better than the other Animorphs books. Yeah. Uh,
Hmm.
I knew I was going to give this one up because I'm not. I know I recognize enough of the structural issues that you brought forward are pretty legitimate that it's like, yeah, I can't actually argue for an S for sure. Um, how you were saying you might. I'm more willing to let this go B than I was the sickness. I'm not gonna lie. But I
Wow.
I was thinking it was probably. I was expecting you to say yeah A, maybe low A. I
Yeah,
was
no,
not expecting you to say B, maybe C.
I don't know. Maybe I mean, we just read this one, but I
Hmm.
just had, after the second half of it, I don't know, it really just left me with a deflated feeling of just like, that was it. It just
Hmm.
didn't do a lot for me. I'm okay with an A though, and it's a compromise. So if neither of us are happy, that means it's good.
Hmm.
But, uh, and like I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, it also is better written
Hmm.
than most of the other books, and it's longer and generally more fleshed out. So it does feel like it's in a different kind of level
Hmm.
from most of the other books. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, like I don't feel good
Yeah.
about it. I'm not like excited to trash this book or anything. I wish I liked it more.
Hmm.
It just didn't it just didn't leave much of an impact on me.
Yeah, because like the one thing about it that it like 100% is just a pretty damning criticism that like I fully recognize probably should keep it from an S, and that's more an emotional decision on my part, is the fact that it doesn't fucking conclude Marco's storyline or even move Marco's storyline forward. Like twice now,
Mm.
we should be 3 times even. We should be moving this forward. We should be doing something. And once again, we're on the status quo. We're on the status quo. Uh, that is pretty damning and should keep it from the top rank, even though I feel like it should be there in my heart, and I did write that.
Well, there it is. It's an A.
All right.
Which means, and we will have a link in the episode notes where you can find an image of our link to our tier ranking of this. But this means we had only one S book this season.
Mm-hmm.
Both previous seasons we had 3.
Mm-hmm.
I know the numbers of books are different, so it's not a 1-to-1, but we have 3 Ds, which is our first Ds ever.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 Cs, but still most of the season, it's very uneven is the thing.
Yeah.
We did have a good number of A and B in there. Now, we didn't both always agree on which ones those necessarily were, but it's uneven, but there's still some pretty good books in it.
Yeah. I do think that the peaks of this season, if we were to look at either of our scores, the peaks of this season seem lower for you than for me, because for me this season has a couple of great books and a couple of terrible books. The inconsistency is very wild. I feel like for you it's got one great book, and then it's mostly like fine to good books with a couple of really bad ones, as opposed to fine to good books with some really good and some really bad. I feel like you're worse on this season than I am for feeling.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, even the A books, well, certainly The Sickness, but even The Pretender and The Conspiracy and The Illusion, or the other A's we gave out. Mm-hmm. Well, we both admitted we were split on The Illusion, so that's I don't have a great oh yeah, that one. They're all just kind of oh yes, I suppose technically speaking it is quite good. It's very intellectual as opposed to me being really genuinely excited about them. And yeah, 26 is the only book we both agree is that's a standout from any season. It would be a standout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
But
speaking of 29 and Visser, the 2 books that I liked but you didn't like, I did have a question that I wanted to ask you, which is, why do you have such an issue with women doing things?
Well,
you just seem to hate when strong female characters get out there and really, you know what I mean? It's you can't relate to them. You don't believe that they can, achieve things or succeed. You don't like their stories. I feel like it's a real issue this podcast has been having. We've been losing all our female listeners because of your issues with women.
We lost her? I was hoping she'd stick around.
Oh, no. We probably lost her long ago.
Yeah. You're right. I have no counter argument. I should probably go to therapy. Probably should figure this stuff out. You know what it is? I didn't see Barbie, and I feel like that would have fixed it.
Oh, yeah. I think, yeah, okay. Well, tell you what, you go see Barbie this weekend, and then go back and reread those books, and you'll have a totally different perspective.
Next week, I'll come back with my post-Barbie takes.
Unlike me, who's a perfect ally in every way.
I do love Rachel, though. That's one woman I love. You know?
Careful now.
What? Anyway, okay. All right, here we go. So this episode doesn't hit 3 hours. Those are our thoughts on the season. Now, we do have some thoughts from listeners and Redditors.
Oh, geez, I forgot we had another section still.
Yeah, it's not over yet. We're not done.
Oh,
we got all our ideas out, and now we hear from the people and see how they compare. Now, I got to be upfront with you. I haven't read any of these responses yet. I'm going to read them for the first time on air.
Okay, so some of them might suck. They haven't been vetted.
Or it might just be people be saying, your show sucks. Stop posting here. But first, we do have one email. By the way, you can email us with your thoughts and opinions on this season or any other book, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. This comes into us from Nick No Name. And the
Yay.
subject. Now, if you recall, Nick No Name is the one, I believe, who coined the flop era terminology. That we thought that, that he was hypothesizing that we were entering the downfall of the Animorph series. He writes, "Hello again, Yerky
I'm
boys."
not sure I disagree. Just, yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
Right.
go ahead. Read his
Well,
thing. I want to
we'll
hear
see.
from him.
Said, "Hello again, Yerky boys. I wanted to start out my season 3 response with an apology. I owe some of the ghostwriters, Kay Applegate and Scholastic," this is a long email, just in case you didn't know, "an apology for prematurely announcing the Animorphs flop era." By the way, I'm pretty sure this note will probably be found at a crime scene someday.
Okay.
It will be written in cryptic symbols, but it will be this note. "After being so let down by book 28, I assumed all the rest of these books were going to be awful due to the ghostwriters." Which one was 28?
That's the cow book with Axe and the
Right.
TV.
Right. "So far, Amy Garvey is the only one-book blunder to truly let me down." He's on your side here. You're right. There have been, I remember his email now. "There have been some good themes in the book since then, especially the back-to-back, the reunion / the conspiracy. There were decent narratives on the balance of familial connections and responsibility of doing what is best for the greater good. I do think Visser was good for about half the book, but then the plot armor of the villains reduced what impact the book could have had. It might even have been more acceptable if they didn't list out all the ways you can be sentenced to death at the beginning, since those penalties had no impact on the end. When a society has the death penalty for nearly every action someone can take, it makes no goddamn sense for their lives to be spared." What I'm looking forward to in this next grouping of books is how much their secret identities play into the stories moving forward. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I did notice a trend in these last few books where their identities are revealed or nearly revealed. That's true. That has come up a bit. Sorry, we'll get into it. Of course, in previous books, the threat of being revealed has been constant, but the shape this concept has taken recently feels different than earlier in the series. Earlier in the series, the threat of being trapped in Morph seemed to be the most present, whereas now they seem to be taking more risks in the missions they go on. In The Pretender, Visser 3 thinks Tobias has a connection to the Andalite bandits. In The Attack, the Animorphs sell their memories to the Iskor. In The Sickness, a Yerk knows who Cassie is. In The Proposal, Marco is unable to control his morphs and even thought speak at humans, of which he didn't know if any of them were controllers or not. Anti-morphing ray tech had the capability to reveal they were humans in 2 books. There have been many opportunities for their identities to be learned in these books, and this does feel like a true escalation, where perhaps some new people learn who the Animorphs are. Maybe I'll be eating my words again, and they find a flashy thingy from Men in Black. It's called the Neuralizer, but I understand. Flashy thingy. It could be a reference. It's fine. And start erasing memories in book 40. And I'll be back hat in hand to say I was wrong to think a trend of revealing their identities meant anything. Why don't we stop, pause, and just talk about this first? I think that's an interesting trend that I had not really picked up on, but it is absolutely there.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to comment on what's coming up because I don't know, but any thoughts on that in this series of books?
Yeah, I think that is a really good note, especially the fact that it seems to have replaced almost getting stuck in Morph. Like, I feel like we have not. We used to get all of these scenes where they're like, I'm a flea the size of a dog and I can't get out because I'm at the end of my time. And, we got that maybe once or something. We haven't had a ton of that this season, but we have been having like constant close calls, including even some that Nick No Name did not mention. Like, there's more even than just that that I can think of. Yeah, I think this is an interesting trend, and it does say something about what Kay Applegate is thinking about in terms of like what is scary or dangerous going forward through here.
Yeah, it's more about the threat of the overall mission versus the individual threat of being trapped as a bird.
Yeah, more like what if they catch us spy stuff, and less like Cronenberg body horror. What if I get stuck as a bird?
Which makes sense because I feel like by this point, in the beginning, a big part of the series is, wow, we can turn into animals. And I feel like by this point in season 3 and moving into 4, it's like that's just a means to an end. It really like it's no longer they almost don't even really pay that much attention or spend that much time on, oh wow, what's it like being a dolphin? You know, that's like a whole book in season 1.
Yeah.
And this is like, yeah, I gotta be a fucking anteater. Like just deal with it. Like, let's just move on or
Yeah,
whatever it
we
is.
we don't have the entire chapter that is just them in the new morph not controlling
Yeah,
their
it's
stuff.
like if there was if like it's like if guns didn't exist. And there was a book series where in the first 5 books it's all about like, oh man, shooting them and getting bullets, it's crazy. And by the time you get to book 30, it's like, whatever, we fucking shoot people. That's what why we're shooting
Yeah.
them is more important. What is this metaphor?
Yeah.
Like, why did I come up with this? No one needed that.
It's a good metaphor. I like it.
Whatever. Metaphor, analogy, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's interesting stuff. What do you think about so Nick thinks he was wrong that this was not the flop era. He says he's apologizing. There were good books here.
Mhm.
But maybe
Yeah,
we think it's the start of the flop era.
like
We're moving into it.
like I said, I think the flop era is a frequency issue. Right. Like I think we're gonna keep seeing good. There's not gonna be a like a stretch where just well maybe there will, but there won't be like an absurdly long stretch in which everything is bad. I don't think. But I think it's gonna be like the highs are going to be more like A's instead of S's, and they're going to be less and less frequent, and the lows are going to be D's and maybe even F's instead of C's, and they're going to be more and more frequent. And I think if you look at it from that perspective, we are already starting to see that happen. So I don't think it's wrong to say it's the start of the flop era from that perspective, but I don't think that it is. It's not necessarily. Yeah, it wouldn't be right to be like, well, everything's bad now, and I think we're just not going to see anything good again.
Sure. Yeah, all right. We were in agreement on that. Nick also mentions, he brings up, at one point we compared the sharing to Scientology. It was during Visser, I suppose.
Yes, I
He
believe
says,
so.
in Visser, Edris does explain the reason they didn't stay in Hollywood was because it was already saturated with movements bearing a superficial similarity to my concept for the sharing, quote unquote. This appears to be a thinly veiled reference to Scientology. I think we just read that, or at least I read it as just like general hippy dippy cults and stuff, new age.
Yeah, I was
cults.
thinking. Yeah,
Like-
I wish I could think of some names because I was thinking of like 2 or 3 like guru types that are like, oh, open your third eye, I made the room turn
Right.
gold, spiritual meditation, Heaven's Gate cult type thing.
Wild Country.
But yeah, Scientology certainly fits. Yeah.
What's the Wild Country doc? What was that one called? It was one of the cults that was like a big deal. Anyway, people know, but you can look it up. Forget the name of it. Now I want to look it up. I watched
the one with
it.
the compound in like South.
Yeah, no, it was in Oregon, I guess. Bhagwan Rajneesh, the Rajneeshis.
Oh, yes, yeah. This guy. Yeah, this is one of them.
Yeah, that was some crazy shit. That cult did nothing wrong. I would have joined it. Anyway,
you're right.
They just wanted to like have sex and chill. I see nothing wrong with it. Anyway, back to Scientology though.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, he says, Nick continues, also mentioned that the sharing was like a sort of Boy Scouts thing, which L. Ron Hubbard claims to have been the youngest Eagle Scout in history. I think that Sea Org inside Scientology is also a riff on Boy Scouts. The podcast Behind the Bastards did a 4-part series on L. Ron Hubbard, which is where I think I first heard this Boy Scout connection. Maybe for your Patreon content, you can join Scientology. Until next time, Nick, no last name.
I like this. Let's do a Scientology Patreon. We can take some personality tests.
We could read an L. Ron Hubbard book. Or we could watch Battlefield Earth.
We could do both. I want to go down to I want to get my thetans tested.
There's a dope podcast that reviews chain restaurants, and it's called Doughboys. That's very popular, much more popular than ours. And they did an episode, I think it was for the Patreon, maybe, where they like there was like a Scientology church or something and that like had food. They actually like went there and like took like a course or something, and it sounded like it was actually a frightening experience for them. They did not like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you went in not just being like, yeah, it'll just be like a church thing where I get food, yeah, probably it would be fairly frightening
I could be
if you
misremembering.
weren't like already expecting it.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for your very well written thoughts as always, Nick. I think there's some good stuff in there that I didn't quite uh, pick up on, so I'm glad we said it. And
Mhm.
we will add Scientology to our Patreon list. All
Yeah,
right,
same.
and now we have the Reddit comments, which there aren't a ton. There's like a handful of comments on the
Mhm.
Reddit. So I asked the Animorphs subreddit, what did you think about this season? And here were their takes. Again, I have not written these. Now we have the highest upvoted. I got to upload these now and reply to them all. This comes from Portia Kern. Portia Kern says, "Hey, I'm one of the handful of listeners you have that never writes in."
Oh shit.
Isn't this nice? Isn't it nice to hear from somebody
This
like
is
that?
nice. It is nice, yeah.
I read the series as it was released. I think season 3 was where I started to drop off my interest for the series. Even the libraries mostly stocked the earlier books, although I wonder if I didn't care about the later books because I couldn't get them. Is that something you experienced at all?
Like I said, I was going out and buying them from Walden Books day one, so I'm
Hmm.
not sure.
Got it. Anyway, continues. In fact, Elemist Chronicles is one of my favorite books, but only because I recognized it in the library years later and gave it a shot. I was completely off Animorphs by that point and got a summary of the series off the internet years after it ended. I enjoy listening to podcasts of the entire series. It's always fun to get an outside perspective on them, and I enjoy the synopsis and your pain enough to sit through episodes. I'm kind of agoraphobic, and honestly, listening to podcasts and YouTube videos are the closest I get to socializing. Yeah, same. All that being said, I think season 3 generally has good ideas that are failed by being rushed to execution by the release schedule. If there was ever a fan re edit project for the series, I'm sure people could easily improve these books with small changes. Maybe consider that as a segment for the podcast where you comment on small changes that could have improved the book. I think that is definitely at some point we have danced around this idea multiple times. At some point we definitely should have devote at least one episode to what would we do. I think it's post series read, but what would we do
Mhm.
if we were rebooting Animorphs either as a book
The Yerky
series or a
Boys cut.
movie? Yes, like I think we should do different mediums. Like how would we handle any given situation, because I think for me it's a fascinating exercise to think what if this was an HBO series or if it was 3 movies or if it was 5 movies. Like there's so many different
Mhm.
ways you could tackle it. What is the best format for this thing? Yeah, that's something
Yeah.
we'll definitely do.
This is this is so common. It's like so many people are to say, oh, what if there was what if you recut it? What if you adapted it? Like it speaks to the just like the sheer number of great ideas that are going on in this series that really make you want to like see them play out, coupled with the sheer amount of garbage in this series and the fact that some of that garbage is fun and you don't want to cut it too. Like there's I think there's a
Hmm.
lot of potential in there, and because I think everybody reading it sees something like that and wants to make their own sort of like, what if I redid it so it was better?
Yeah, and we will get there. We'll get there. So thanks
Mhm.
Portia Kern for listening and now writing. And parasocial relationships are not healthy. That being said, you specifically, I consider one of my best friends. And if you're not
Yeah, same.
listening, I'm gonna be really sad.
Yeah, we're gonna reference Portia Kern in every single episode from now on and talk to you personally.
Mhm.
We love you. You're our best friend.
Yeah,
And parasocial relationships are actually good and great, and you should keep doing them as long as they're with us.
you've seen that. Have you seen that meme where it's It's someone sitting in front of a billboard somewhere that's like, or an advertisement that's like three people laughing together and eating food, and then just the one person in real life is sitting in front of the sign eating their own food and looking at them and smiling, and it's like, this is what I feel like listening to a podcast.
That's really good. I have not, but
I
I like it.
I get it, because I am truly, there are podcasts I listen to where I really feel like these guys are my best friends. Like I get it. I mean, Portia didn't really go that far about us. I don't want to characterize it that way, but
No, they did.
I form these attachments to people who I will never meet or talk to.
I've
All right.
already formed this attachment to Portia, so.
Oh, that's nice. Let's just stay back a little bit. All right. Next up, we have one from Conscious Star 6831, which sounds like an automatically generated username. I don't think they came up with that. They have a brief take for each book of the series. Now, I don't know. I'm going to skim through these. I don't know if I will read every single one. They wrote a few sentences, or at least one for every book from this section. So here we go. Let's see. Didn't 23, The Pretender, said would have been more impactful if we didn't already have Andalite Chronicles. I kind of agree with that, but it's fine. Not a fan of the Helmicrons. Didn't like 24. Said 25 seems to get a lot of hate. We gave it a B.
Yeah.
I need to remind myself which ones these are. Oh, yeah, that's the extreme. Interesting.
Polar bear.
So this is interesting, too. We're getting a little bit of a window here. He says that it seems to get a lot of hate, but he enjoys it and thinks it's fun. 26, great story. Enjoyed meeting the Howlers. Wish that had come back more. Yeah, or no, he wished that the Iskort had come back more. He liked the idea of the Yerks with a symbiotic relationship. There could be spoilers in here. I don't know. Yeah, we agree on that. Yeah, it didn't. He said book 27 was meh, but he likes that the security code was 6.
Everyone likes that, except you.
28, absolute nothing burger. 29, very interesting book. A good attempt at the Yerk resistance. So, okay. Megamorphs 3, fun romp through history, but overall not a great story. Wish it had been more important rather than just bringing the group back to where they started. Yeah, we've heard that complaint before.
Wish
book
it
30.
was more fun, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for us, not fun.
Yeah.
Book 30, fantastic, he said. Marco's ruthlessness or attempt at it, just overall a good story. And the way this leads to Visser. Yeah, interesting. We gave it a B. I don't remember if we disagreed on that. I think we both just said, yeah, it's a B.
We agreed it was a B. Before this read-through, I would have said A, but rereading it, I said B.
Now, 31, controversial maybe. We gave this one an A. This is the conspiracy. And this person said, meh, was okay. Kind of a repeat of 30, but with Jake and less on the line for the world. Lots on the line for Jake, but coming on the heels of 30 felt lackluster to me. Interesting. So he's saying the Marco mom relationship. I think we even said this at the time. They do kind of mirror each other. But for me, I thought the characterization we didn't get enough of for Jake. So I was really happy with that book. But for him, it was well, this is a step down because it's not about the world anymore. It's just Jake.
Yeah, I have heard that take before. I might have brought it up on the podcast that I feel like I've heard that this book is kind of boring because the stakes are too low. It's too domestic and stuff. But no, I really like it. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. The separation, he says, is kind of indecisive. He just says it's weird and he has a lot of questions about the science of it, which fair. But I don't get a sense that he likes it or hates it. 33, he said love-hate relationship, just like us. Oh, but he said the torture went too far for him. It was hard. I'm saying him. I don't know their pronouns. Sorry. Too far for them. And it was hard to read. So it was too upsetting. We're not that we're jaded edgelords, so
no,
we have no problem with that. Not a fan of
see more.
They weren't a fan of the Hork-Bajir book. Yeah, fair enough. 35, they said not awful but not great. And this is where they stopped reading the original run. So that was the book that just basically they lost interest for some reason.
So
Visser
they
though
saw to be continued in Visser. Oh, okay. They do have a Visser.
Visser, they said, well, I meant, yeah, apparently in their, like, when they originally read it, I think, as a kid, that's when they stopped.
Okay.
Visser, they said, one of my favorites in the series. Fascinating to see how the invasion started and the internal Yerk politics, which, as you'll recall, are two things I didn't find that fascinating, but I get it.
Yeah, and that is part of the fascinating thing that did get that to an S for me, but...
So overall, they said season 3 is okay. In my original read in the 90s, that's where I fizzled. I think what you're likely to call season 4 was where Animorphs really lost it, though. So we'll see.
We will see.
A couple people replied to this, but it's just about how Rachel's morphing works. I'm not going to read those. No Improvement 7573 said there's definitely a dip in quality. First half of the series is great books with a bad egg or two. Last half has bad books with a few good eggs. But I will die on my hill saying 37 should be ranked way higher than everyone usually does. I don't know. That's not in our purview here. I laid out the books in the first post.
Yeah, it's not in our purview, but I'll try to keep that in mind.
Okay, we'll keep it in mind. Wait, I think he's talking about book 37.
Right.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, it's not in our range.
Yeah, I'm not reading this. I can't read this. It's gonna have spoilers. Yeah. What is this person? What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing? No Improvement 7573.
Well, they're certainly not going to do better. That I know.
Get the fuck out of here with this. This is some fucking Seropedia editor, I bet. Zarlin Osuke said, similar to other commenters here, season 3 is where I stopped as a kid. Sounds like this is a comment. I wonder if part of this is people hitting a point in the series where they just reached an age where they just stopped reading young adult books or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Because it seems to be a common thread. They said 27 was the last of the numbered books I read in my childhood. With no knowledge at the time, that would end up being the exact halfway point, or the point the ghostwriters took over completely, almost. And I also read Megamorphs 3 in those days because I thought those were neat. I didn't dislike 26 or 27. 26 has always been a big favorite of mine, in fact. Yeah, same. And I liked Megamorphs 3 a lot too, but for some reason I just lost motivation. It's really interesting to me how it seems like some part of me could intuitively tell that something about it was less gripping, in a way that a lot of other people felt too, without any conscious awareness thereof. Yeah, there's something about as a kid that just the pull wasn't there anymore. Maybe it was just going on too long and they were like, I get it. I've read, I know what you're doing here. Harry Potter's out now. And finally, one last comment from Cypher King 13, who said, didn't know your podcast existed, but I will be listening to it now.
Wow.
Well, Cypher King, if you make it all the way to this episode, congratulations, you're on record.
You'll hear yourself say it. Yeah.
Not as much insight as I was hoping to. I was hoping for more thoughts on separation to get a sense of that, but...
Yeah. No, that is sad that we didn't get more on that, but...
I could just search the subreddit for separation.
That's true.
Go ahead.
One thing that I think we're going to see as we go forward that I'm going to have to think about is something they brought up there is like, as a kid, you know the books are in decline, but you're not really equipped to say what makes a book good or bad. You're just like, oh yeah, I reread this one all the time, and I just don't reread this one. And I don't know why that is. So, like, being able to sort of reconcile, like, as an adult, I can go back and try to explain to my younger self why that was or what was happening in my little kid brain. But as a kid, it just happened. I think that'll be something to pay attention to going forward for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also think there is something, whether it be age or something else, there's something to just as a kid. Clearly this doesn't happen for you. You were fully on board the whole way, but there, at a certain point, it's like kids' interests change all the time. And you're not like, when these books are coming out every month for like 3 or 4 years, it's pretty likely that the stuff you like at the beginning, you're going to be doing different stuff by the end of it. Between the ages, the average reader's age is probably like started at 10 but then by the time you're 13 or 14, like you're almost a different person at that point.
Mhm.
So it makes sense that
Yeah.
at this point you're kind of like drifting away.
I'm not going to say that didn't happen since I started reading at book 20, and I think by the time we got into the 40s, I was still buying them and reading them, but I was starting to be, it was less like, oh, I got to get it day one, and I was not rereading them to the same extent. So even that is only like, 2 years or something, and
Yeah.
not even.
I wish I could tell you why I stopped reading. I think I wasn't even really like I didn't even think of it as like, oh, the next book. Like I wasn't really conscious of the release schedule and what's going to happen next. I was just more casual, I think, where I just every once in a while picked one up off the shelf and went, oh, cool, Animorphs are really cool, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, because I didn't even make it to the 20s. I did search the subreddit for separation. There is a post from 6 months ago someone made that says, "Why do we hate the separation?" This person is defending it.
So maybe
And
nobody actually hates it. People just think everybody hates it.
somebody said, I don't know what the source on this is. Oh, apparently they say some YouTube channel found an interview that talked about, and they specifically said that the separation was given to a ghostwriter, and for some reason K. Applegate had to come in and rewrite it and fix it because something was so wrong with it.
Weird.
So we don't know what that version of the story was.
Maybe we'll look into it. I won't. I will forget, but maybe we will.
There's a lot of there's people in here that don't like it, but there's some defenders too. So I'm not alone.
Okay.
A lot of Airhead Valley Girl Rachel doesn't work, but yeah, there's people who like it a lot. So hey,
Okay.
Extremely Online TM says this book slaps. I get why it's controversial, but the haters are just objectively wrong on this one.
Damn. Well, our podcast has rated it as a B, what is it, a compromise B. I did a C, you did an A, so we don't hate it here.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so now at some point we will do an entire episode where we just search on Reddit every book title and see what Reddit thinks. I think that's all there is.
I think that's all
Pop
we
culture?
have here. Yeah, pop culture, yeah. I think we did that at the beginning this time.
Yeah, we did.
The first 25 minutes or something.
Yeah, we've said all our thoughts. We've said what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, it's too late to send us thoughts now.
No.
You still can. We'll still read them on the show.
You still can, and here's the deal. We are, like last time, going to have a little bit of a break. We're not going right into season 4. Not a break from the show, but a break from reading the books. We are still going to have weekly episodes. Next week is going to see the return. We've got the time matrix juiced up once again, and we are getting K.A. Applegate back on the show.
I actually want to, I had a separate plan here. The last time there was too much time juice, so I thought this time I might contact the Drode and get him to pull her here instead.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Try to avoid the time juice issue.
Different methods, but I think
he might
that
do some meddling.
Okay. I have been spending weeks juicing up this thing, but if it was all for nothing, I guess that's fine.
Well, we'll see what happens.
And then we're also going to have a another fan fiction episode where we both look at some kind of fan fictions of Animorphs and talk about them. And I think some of that is going to be in the Patreon too. We're going to have multiple episodes, so there's going to be some of that on the main feed, some of it on the Patreon. Also on the Patreon, this week we're talking about the Twilight Zone, a handful of episodes of the Twilight Zone original series. So that will be a lot of fun. If you want to check that out, go to patreon.com/theyerkyboys. If you listen to this whole episode, you might as well pay fucking $5. If you like the show this much to listen to this, just give us your $5. You won't regret it.
Yeah, it's better than this. Are you kidding me?
Way better.
Yeah.
And email us again, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. You can follow me
Yeah.
online. My website is jonathanestis.com. I do a lot of things, different places. I have podcasts, YouTubes, Nintendos. You can go there and you'll find all the stuff I have if you want to see me plugged.
All right. Is that all the business we have that we always do at the end of every episode? I think it is, right?
Yeah, we've only done over 50 of these, so.
All right.
That's
well,
not true,
thanks
actually.
everyone for listening.
Doesn't matter.
Is it?
I think
however many it was, tune in next time.
No, maybe we are on.
Yeah, tell me.
What are we on? No, it doesn't matter. just go.
Well, next time we'll be doing yet another Q&A with KA on the Yerky Boys.